It's the Mixed Martial Arts Hour with
The Mixed Martial Arts Hour back in your life on this Monday, July 18th, 2016. Hello again, everyone. I'm Mario Helwani inside our New York City studio, mid-July, great weather outside, and in fact, this is a historic day in the history of our great program. For the first time in my professional career, I have come to work wearing shorts. Yes, I'm wearing shorts. Now, you can't see this. I didn't really have to tell you that, but in the interest of full disclosure, I felt like I needed to get that off my chest. I've always been against the idea of wearing shorts to work, but it is very hot outside. I'm not complaining, by the way. If it was July all year round, July weather, I'd be the happiest man in the world. I've already told you that I think July is the greatest month of the year. It's just a little hot, and it's a little uncomfortable. And I come to the studio all sweaty, so here I am doing the show, business on top, party on the bottom. It's still the same old show. Don't worry, I actually saw someone on my way to the studio today, a fan, I believe his name was Steven. Was it Steven? Name escapes me right now, but I think it's Steven, saying that he was on his way to his office to go watch a show. And I have to tell you, one of the things I love most about doing the show in the summertime is when people send us tweets showing where they're watching or listening to the show. So last week, someone was in Melbourne saying, hey, this is where I'm enjoying last week's episode of the MMA Hour. I often get pictures of people on the beach. I love that. Send more of those. To think that someone's on vacation and maybe not on vacation, but just using this show as an escape valve, as a way to unwind, as a way to check in on the world of MMA, that to me is the highest compliment possible. So I love those tweets, and I'm not envious. I'm happy to share in your experience. If you're at the pool having a great time listening to the show, I feel like I'm at the pool having a great time listening to the show. So that's a lot of fun. It's a great compliment to me. I appreciate those comments very much. Okay, as always, much to discuss in the world of MMA. You know, it's interesting. After last week's show, going into last week's show, there was a ton of news. And then a few days after last week's show, it was kind of quiet. And I was thinking to myself, come Friday, this has been a relatively quiet week in the world of MMA. And then Friday evening happens. And then the Brock Lesnar news happens. And among the many things I thought of when the Lesnar news came out was, this is the third time in a row that a major USADA violation breaks on a Friday evening, which, as I think I've mentioned on the show before, I've definitely mentioned it on Twitter, is PR 101. I mean, if you're going to break major news that is sometimes not very complimentary, you try to break it Friday night. That's something any PR person will tell you. It happened with the Chad Mendes news, the Frank Mir news, and now the Brock Lesnar news. Coincidence? Quite possibly, but I thought of that, like, wow, another Friday night breaking news USADA story. Crazy. Lot to unpack as it pertains to Brock. We'll talk about that. Talk about the Bellator card on Saturday, which was, I thought, entertaining, but has now since been somewhat marred by a devastating and horrific injury to Evangelista Cyborg. There's some breaking John Jones news today. There's a lot going on. And of course, UFC on Fox 20 is this Saturday in Chicago. So let's get to today's rundown and then let's start this show. All right. 4:10, we're going to be joined by Urijah Faber. Last week, it was announced that he'll be fighting Jimmy Rivera, not Francisco Rivera, UFC 203 in Cleveland on September 10th. First time we get a chance to talk to Urijah since his loss to Dominic Cruz. So we'll touch on that as well. At 350, Lando Vannata. Yes, Lando Vannata, who was relatively unknown coming into UFC Sioux Falls Wednesday evening and was the talk of the town following the event. He took a fight against Tony Ferguson on short notice, around 2.5 weeks notice, and almost finished Tony Ferguson. What a performance out of Jackson Winklejohn's Lando Vannata. He'll be joining us at 3:50. I'm looking forward to talking to him. 2:45, we'll talk to James Gallagher, the 19-year-old prospect out of SBG Ireland, protege of the great John Kavanagh. He made his Bellator debut successfully Saturday evening in London, so we'll talk to James about that. 2:25, we'll talk to the brand new UFC Women's Bantamweight Champion Amanda Nunes about life as champion, avoiding hand surgery, it appears. And what's next for her? 205, the UFC co-founder and current Combate America's CEO, Campbell McLaren, will stop by. He has an interesting connection to the recent sale of the UFC. And by the way, in case you're wondering, not a ton of news to come out regarding the sale, but of course we'll talk about it on this show. 145, Valentina Bullet Shevchenko will stop by. She faces Holly Holm in the main event of UFC on Fox 20 this Saturday in Chicago. And at 125, we'll talk to Derrick Lewis, who's coming off a big win over Roy Nelson last week in Las Vegas, or I should say at this point, 2 weeks ago in Las Vegas. But first, let us go to the Skype machine and welcome in my colleague and pal, Marc Raimondi, owner of what used to be the best Skype connection, internet connection in West Hollywood. But I got to say, it's lacking this week, Mark.
It's a new laptop. It's a new laptop.
What happened?
Maybe that's I don't know.
Well, you don't mess with a good thing, my man.
It's not my fault. My laptop crapped out. I'm using our beautiful SB Nation brand laptop. New SB Nation, not Apple laptop. So
wait a second. You have an SB Nation laptop? I don't have an SB Nation laptop.
Hey,
what's up with that?
You have an SB Nation studio right there in New York. I'm over here in LA.
Yeah.
Come on.
But you got the Dojo studio. You're killing it with the Facebook Live every night, late night, after hours. It's great stuff. Okay, let's talk. We got a lot to talk about. What are you drinking there? Coffee?
Of course.
Okay. I'm putting you on the spot here because this news is an hour old, but there was a hearing in Nevada this morning. One of the big topics, John Jones, they temporarily suspended him because they're going to have the full hearing. We expected that. But of note, they officially said that he tested positive for 2 anti-estrogen blockers. And this is something that Rashad Evans said before 200. This is something that Chael Sonnen said after 200. But here's the commission coming out and saying it. For those that don't understand why the heck a fighter like John Jones would be caught with anti-estrogen blockers in his system, can you explain this to the common man?
Yeah, it's actually not that. It's pretty common, anti-estrogen medication and pills, because basically what it does, it's almost kind of like a TRT type situation where if someone has low testosterone, anti-estrogen pills and substances kind of suppress the estrogen and kind of try to stimulate the testosterone in people's systems. So men take that for many reasons. If they have hypogonadism, which is one of the things that you can take TRT for, it's a similar type of thing. Mostly though, it's from people who have taken steroids in the past, and as we know, steroids and that kind of stuff, testosterone can make natural testosterone go down and make those levels go down. So people take anti-estrogen medication to suppress the estrogen and make the testosterone go up. Now, I don't know what John Jones has done in the past. Sure. We don't even know if he took this intentionally. He's saying his team has said that he's never knowingly taken any banned substances. This kind of stuff is actually pretty prevalent in supplements, which is interesting. You can go to GNC and get anti-estrogen medication right now. It's not uncommon. It's an over-the-counter type deal. So maybe it's one of those situations where he wasn't paying attention to the label and it was in the supplement. Actually, John's sponsor, his supplement sponsor, GAT, actually sells over-the-counter anti-estrogen supplements. So I don't know if he took those. I don't know if it was unlabeled. As we know, as Mike Dolce put very well on your show last week, the supplement market is the wild, wild west. I mean, there is no regulation at all. The only time the FDA investigates supplements is when someone complains about it, when there's a file open on it. Otherwise, they can put anything on the shelf they want, more or less. So, given this information, do you think it's still too early to say whether or not he's going to get the full 2-year punishment from USADA, from Nevada? Because initially some people will be like, okay, this is not, your typical, I took this supplement, there's something in here, I'm crying foul. What do you think? Do you think it's still too early? Do we still need to really hear his side of the story before trying to guess how long he'll be out for? Oh yeah, it's definitely way too early because these things are so prevalent in supplements that maybe Jones took a supplement that didn't list anti-estrogen medication substances inside of it. But the way these supplements work is that sometimes if you're in the same factory, there can be cross-contamination, there can be tainted supplements. It happens all the time. So maybe he was taking something from GAT that GAT produces, and there was anti-estrogen substances in there unknown, and he took them unknowingly. They weren't on the label. That kind of stuff is not rare. It happens all the time. Actually, it's pretty common. So there's still a possibility of a tainted supplement defense in this case. I think that's the way they're leaning. And as we saw with Yoel Romero and Tim Means, if you can prove to USADA that you took a substance unknowingly, that it came in a supplement that you were taking, that it wasn't listed on the bottle, you can get off. You can only get 6 months suspension.
Yeah.
So that could be the situation here. But I want to note this too, because it's interesting today that the Nevada Athletic Commission was the ones to announce the substance that he tested positive for. Regardless of what happens with USADA, he still has to go before the commission. So USADA can say 6 months. The commission can say 2 years, 3 years. They can really they don't have to go by USADA at all. They can do whatever they want. He could be in a situation where he can get a very small suspension from USADA, and the commission can still throw the book at him.
Yeah, but I think that's interesting because Nevada isn't the one who administered the test. So I feel like, they don't really have a leg to say. It's all. Yeah,
they're sharing.
I get that.
Testing because the commission has to pay for it. So it doesn't make sense to test guys twice. It doesn't make sense for the commission and USADA to be testing. So they're sharing their
Fair enough.
testing.
But I just think that if, let's say USADA decides that it's 6 months, I don't like the idea of Nevada piling on. But let's see. It's very early.
I'm not
No,
saying
I know.
I agree with
I get it. Yep. Yep, I get it. Okay, so the Brock Lesnar thing, right? There's a lot to discuss here. My first thought is, look, I understand, and wait, 1 second. I just want to say one more thing about the supplement thing. We're new in the USADA era. The sport is evolving. Everything's evolving. But I think it's time, like, we need to put a cap on the supplement excuse. There's no excuse anymore for not telling USADA what supplements you're taking. Like the idea that I took this and then I got screwed because it was tainted, that could have worked in January, February, March. It's July. Enough people have gotten caught. You can't use that anymore. If you took a supplement and didn't report it and there's something unknowing, I think you deserve the biggest punishment possible. You can't. You have to disclose everything at this point. Haven't you guys learned? That's just my take on that. Anyway, let's go to Brock Lesnar, all right? You're giving me
I'm not sure if I agree with you on that one 100%.
You have to. Why not? You're playing by their rules. Now, the TJ Dillashaw thing about like we're contracted and all full time, that is a great point. And I agree with him 100%. But the system hasn't changed yet. So if you don't want to get screwed, you have to play by the rules because you guys agreed to this. You guys are the ones that signed off on this, right?
Is it realistic to not take any supplements at all?
Just tell them.
To have your supplements? But even when you tell Jeff Nowitzki and you email him and say, hey Jeff, I'm taking XXXX, all he can really tell you is that these are low risk. He can't say for sure because you never know about cross-contamination.
Sure.
So there has to be at least a checks and balance system in place just in case an athlete legitimately went through all the right steps and still got screwed. That's how bad the supplement market is. There has to be checks and balances.
But this is what I'm saying. The ones thus far haven't even gone that step, right? The ones who have been caught with the supplement thing,
I don't know about
they haven't. They haven't said it. Why wouldn't they say it?
Right.
You get what I'm trying to say? Okay, I want to talk about Brock. My big takeaway when I heard this news, is yes, I understand that the test results and the whole process, the samples, it's all anonymous and they're going by system. And I like that. It shows that, look, they don't care about the event. They don't care about the date. They're doing their own thing and it's all on the up and up. I respect that. But we can't keep finding out that a guy tested positive from a result or there's a potential violation from a test that happened 2 weeks before the event. The fight happens, the opponent gets his head bashed in, and now we have to deal with the consequences. If we're going to be in this this arrangement where fights are happening and people are being tested beforehand, well, they need to figure out a way to expedite these results. Right. Don't you agree? To happen before the...
I 100% agree. But first, I do want to say that to clear this up, there's no impropriety going on here.
No. I'm not saying that. I know
you're not saying that, but I've seen people saying, they knew about it before. They didn't. Listen, if they pull John Jones from UFC 200, the main event of the card, the best fighter in the world, 3 days before the event, there's no corruption going on. They're obviously doing their due diligence, but this is one of those things where I think it's still a work in progress as far as side in the UFC. And yes, 100%, they need to get these tests back before the fight, especially in a case like Brock Lesnar where they waived that 4-month period. They waived that 4-month period that he was supposed to notify USADA before coming out of retirement. They waived it. So they tested Brock 5 times, we know, before June 20th, right? Mm-hmm. All of those 5 tests came back clean. So the UFC was operating under the assumption that he was fine because he passed 5 tests. But USADA wasn't done. They went back a few days later, a week later, tested him 3 more times before the fight, and those 3 tests didn't come back until after the fight, and that's one of the ones that he popped on, essentially.
Yeah.
So the UFC, I don't think there's any impropriety at all. But yeah, USADA needs to expedite these things. From what I understand, it's not even that expensive to expedite these tests. But I know that when you test as many times as USADA does, that kind of thing can add up. But in this situation, I think it's a special circumstance. The UFC waived the policy rule about the 4-month notice. You have to make sure you get all 8 of those. If you're going to test Lesnar 8 times, you got to make sure every one of those is back before July 9th.
Yeah, and we saw this sort of thing happen with the Anderson Silva and Nick Diaz fight, but that was pre-USADA.
Yes.
If, like I said, I feel like they need to come to the understanding that, look, Mark Hunt has a reason to be upset right now. Do I think he's going to get his full purse, Brock's full purse? No. Do I think he's going to get half? No. But he has a reason to be really pissed off right now and asking some serious questions. And from what I understand, he's not getting many answers. So right now they come out with this result, and there's been all kinds of reports, hot takes, articles. I thought Mike Chiappetta of Bleacher Report put it best, where he said, look, Brock failed the test, but the UFC kind of failed the test as well here for rushing him back, for waiving that. Do you agree with this sentiment that, look, UFC 200, when it was announced last year, we were dreaming of Conor McGregor, Ronda Rousey, Chris Cyborg, the return of GSP. Then we were left with Conor and Nate. That didn't happen. Then we were left with John Jones. That didn't happen. And now we get the rushing of the Brock Lesnar fight. And look, like the UFC 200, that the story, once it's all really said and done, will be one of like many, many missteps, in my opinion. And this is just the latest and perhaps maybe the final one. But in hindsight, is the UFC somewhat at fault here for trying to rush this guy back in? Who knows what he was doing pre-WWE, but it's a bad look. It's just really a bad look.
Promoters are gonna promote. I think that's just the name of the game. I don't think that they're at fault in a sense that they were doing anything with impropriety. Like I said,
no, yeah.
The one thing I do take umbrage with the fact that they waived the 4-month notice, and it's funny because I was saying before the fight that it wasn't that big of a deal, but now that we know that they may not get the test back until after, sometimes he needs to be tested and make sure all those tests come back in time before, like I said, before the fight happens, because you don't want Mark Hunt going into a fight against someone who may be on something. And we don't know what Brock took yet. We don't know what the substance is. We don't know if it was a PED. But and there was some stuff that came out this weekend, some rumors. Another thing I want to say about USADA, just tell us what the substance is right off the bat. Why let people spread rumors before this can come out and speculate? Because now people think that Brock Lesnar is using some kind of steroid. We don't know if it's a steroid. It could be something else. It could be a diuretic for all we know. But USADA is not telling us, so it just leaves room for speculation. And once that speculation happens and it travels the world, it's hard to come back after that. People already peg you as a user. So just be transparent and say it right away.
Okay, let me just interrupt you there, because you're the one who said to me, like, look, it's part of the process. Because I said, if you come out and be transparent about things, and I like that, right off the bat, you're in this day and age, you're guilty until proven innocent. And you, I think, equated it to someone getting arrested, right? I mean, you're arrested, then you go through the legal trouble, the legal process. But here's the difference. And I agree with that. I agree with that comparison, but here's the difference. If Joe Schmo gets arrested, and if he's a public person, we usually know what he's getting arrested for. He's getting arrested for domestic violence. He's getting arrested for hit and run, blah, blah, blah. Here, we're being told that this guy did something potentially bad, but we have no idea. There's 1,000 things under the sun. That leads to too much speculation. It's the Wild West then.
Hundreds of substances. There's hundreds of substances that he could have tested positive for, and we have no idea which one. So now we're just playing a guessing game until USADA tells us, or probably the commission, because Brock will also have to do the same thing that Jones did.
Oh, God.
He'll have to go before at some point. I don't know if he's going to show up in Vegas. That remains to be seen, but he's going to have to go through that whole process too. So who the heck knows? But we're still waiting to find out that substance.
I asked you after 200, do you think Brock is coming back? Given his performance, given his demeanor after the fact, we all agreed the guy wants to fight again, and it would make a lot of business sense to have him fight again. What do you think now? Do you think he comes back?
I think it really depends on what happens with USADA. I think it's too early to say, because if he goes away for 2 years, if it is a 2-year suspension, we're talking about a guy who's going to be probably 41, right? He just turned 39 in July, your favorite month. I think I don't think he comes back if he gets suspended. But again, who the hell knows? I mean, 41 is not even that old. Mark Hunt is older than that now, and he just fought Brock at at UFC 200. So I still think he's going to come back. I still think that even after a suspension, the question is, can he come back and not fail a drug test if USADA is still in place in 2 years, if that's the case?
Yeah, and WWE put out a statement, which was not much of a statement. that was like a two-liner, basically saying that Brock is scheduled to return August 21st for us. That's SummerSlam, and he hasn't been on our television, for weeks. So pretty much washing their hands of the situation and saying we have nothing to do with this. Awesome. Yeah, I mean, what else do you expect? Okay, there's so much going on. I want to ask you about Cyborg Santos. I mean, this was a devastating injury. If you missed it, Michael Venom Page in London lands a beautiful flying knee, and you could tell right off the bat, to me, it was reminiscent of John Jones breaking Brandon Vera's orbital bone a few years back. The way his legs were moving, the kind of pain that he was in, the sound was just horrific. And then we come to find out that he suffered a fractured skull. I don't know how you come back from that. What made me feel a little uneasy about it was this GoFundMe account being spread saying that, he needs help with his medical bills, but Scott Coker has recently told MMA Junkie that they're going to cover the cost. I mean, shouldn't that have been cleared up right off the bat? I mean, this is not me trying to pile on, but, someone goes to the hospital for a fractured skull. The GoFundMe thing shouldn't even be set up. We shouldn't even be talking about that, right?
Well, the GoFundMe is not for medical expenses. The GoFundMe is essentially, Cyborg is not going to be able to fight probably ever again. And if he does fight again, and I hope he doesn't, it won't be for a very long time. So this is basically, the GoFundMe, as I understand it, is more for living expenses because the guy can't make an income now for an X amount of time. So it's more for that than medical, because Bellator is going to take care of the medical. It's good for them. They're doing the right thing 100%. And I think Scott Coker also said that they're going to pay Cyborg his win bonus as well.
Oh, that's nice.
So that's good. That's good news. But the GoFundMe wasn't I think for that initially. I think it was for more living expenses after the fact, because we know that these fighters don't make that much money, and who knows how much Cyborg has saved, which is very sad because the guy has fought how many times? 40, 50 times. He's been fighting since 1997, and he probably still doesn't have any true life savings.
Jimmy Smith, the Bellator color analyst, said that he spoke to an EMT after the fight. And the EMT said that he had only seen that kind of injury in a severe car crash. And let me ask you this. When you see what happens, to Cyborg on Saturday, when you see the Brock thing, the John Jones thing, and other things that have happened in the last month, do you ever, just as remove yourself as an MMA journalist, just be Marc Raimondi right now, do you ever think to yourself like, man, what are we doing here? What is going on? Do you ever have that conversation with yourself? Because I will admit, after I saw the Cyborg skull picture, I had that conversation with myself.
I do, and this weekend was one of those times.
Yeah.
All these drug test failures, Cyborg. That picture is really. I saw it about 10 times on social media yesterday, and every single time I felt like a feeling in the pit of my stomach. That's awful. Yeah. I mean, and what can Michael Page do? And also good for him for sharing the GoFundMe.
Yeah.
And putting it out there. And also Nate Diaz and Chael Sonnen have donated, which is great. But Michael Page, he's not nothing to apologize for, because he was just doing his job and he did it well. But that's the inherent nature of MMA. If you do your job and you do it well, you stand to inflict a great deal of pain and suffering on your opponent. And that's something to be reminded of from time to time, I think. Because these are not action figures. These are not video game characters. These are not guys in movies, and I think fans see them as that sometimes. When they say, "Oh, this guy should fight this guy," they're just playing like they're pieces on a chessboard. They're not. They're human beings who have to go through a lot of pain and suffering, and maybe it's good to remind us of that stuff from time to time.
I saw some people tweet MVP that he should be ashamed of himself, that he wasn't acting professionally. Here's my thing on that. MVP has been acting this way from the get-go. It's not like he did this, out of the blue, and to his credit, didn't even try to punch him. There wasn't really a lot of time to do that, but once he landed that knee, he walked away. Now, I know he did the Pokemon thing and all that, and it got him a ton of attention. I have no problem with his antics, because it's consistent to who he is. He's always been that way, and he's always been a gentleman outside of the cage. So I say lay off on him. Final question for you. As we ran out of time, we can talk 2 hours here about all this stuff. talking about Cyborg and not having a lot of money and all this. And you wrote a great article Sunday morning for MMA Fighting about whether or not the sale of the UFC will be the trigger to lead to some sort of fighter association / union. You spoke to some important people, some smart people. Do you think this is it, or do you think this story is going to sort of, wash away in the coming weeks?
I don't know if this will be the full catalyst to start something like that. But I do think fighters are starting to notice more than ever now, especially when they see that $4 billion number. I mean, that thing really hits you over the head, and it makes fighters who are making like $20,000 and $20,000 say to themselves, like, what is going on? TJ Dillashaw was public the other day, last week, about the UFC and how they treat fighters and about them treating fighters more like employees rather than independent contractors. I don't remember him ever saying like that kind of stuff in the past. When the sale came out, fighters like Neil Seery, Ally Aquinta, Jeremy Stevens all tweeted, well, how come we're not getting our share? I think that sentiment is growing. I don't know if this is going to push it over the edge, but I think certainly fighters are now thinking about this more than ever, and they should. Every other major sports organization, every league has a union, has an association, has some kind of collective bargaining for athletes. There's no reason why MMA shouldn't be like that as well.
Great stuff as always, Mark. Thank you very much. Appreciate it.
Thanks, man.
All right. There he is, Marc Raimondi of MMAfighting.com. Tremendous insight as always. If you're not following him, reading his work, you are missing out. Let's move along. One of the big winners 2 weeks ago in Las Vegas, Derrick Lewis, huge win over Roy Nelson. He continues to be one of the rising stars in the UFC's heavyweight division, and he joins us now, I believe, via the match. Oh, no, via phone. Derrick, are you there?
They didn't let me do the Skype because I ain't had no clothes on, so it's all right.
You were naked?
Yeah.
Oh, man, I wanted to see that.
It's over 100. It's over 100 degrees out here in Texas.
I know.
So I'm at my house. You know.
Well, it's good to see you, Derrick, or hear from you, I should say. Congratulations on the win. I've a lot to talk to you about, but I want to ask you right off the top. I mean, it's your division. What was your reaction when you heard about Brock Lesnar?
Oh, it was no surprise. That was like Nate Diaz. I wasn't surprised about it, you know. And come on, man, look at the guy. Everybody knows he was juicing, but it don't affect me at all. You know, I'll fight anyone. I'm ready.
So you would still fight him? If they booked you against him next month, and you think that he's doing that stuff, you have no problem?
Yeah, for sure I'll fight him. You know, when I was fighting in a lower league,
yeah,
you know, I was fighting a lot of guys that was on juice. You know, it doesn't matter. That don't help you fight any better to me. You know, because I still be eating fried chicken at McDonald's the day before my fight, and I feel fine.
Are you really doing that at this level?
Yeah, but, you know, I just switch it up and just drink Diet Coke instead of regular Coke. So I feel pretty energized.
So the night before the Roy Nelson fight, you're eating McDonald's?
Yeah, I was actually not McDonald's, In-N-Out Burger.
Oh, yeah. That's the good stuff.
Yeah.
What'd you have?
3 In-N-Out burgers with 3. I think it was animal size style or something like that. Fries.
Yeah.
Yeah, it was pretty good. Yeah.
Oh, that's the one with all the cheese and everything on it, right?
Yeah.
Man, you went all out.
Yeah.
Did you go bun or bunless?
I went bun.
Okay.
You know, I went all the way.
Yeah. I respect that. But you don't think you don't think that there's a, I don't know. I mean, there's dangers involved. You like look at Mark Hunt. Have you seen his reaction to the news? I mean, you go in there against a guy that big with those kind of hands, that kind of power. That doesn't concern you at all. I know you're a father. You're a family man. That could be very dangerous.
Nah, I guess it is, but you know, I don't know. I guess the guy just really got insecurity problems, you know, got to do all that, you know, but it really don't affect me. I don't care. The sport itself is dangerous.
Yeah, that's true.
Anything could happen. So if you want to juice, go ahead and juice up. It still ain't going to help you. It's just going to make you more depressed afterwards because you're still going to get your butt whooped.
Has anyone ever come to you and tried to convince you to do that?
Yeah, of course. You know, a bunch of guys say, oh, they won't. You don't have to worry about it. He'll feel strong. You don't have to worry about nothing. I'm sure I got another fighter that does it, and he passed his drug test and this and that. And I'm like, nah, I'm good, man. I don't need to do all that.
Good. Yeah. Well, I respect that.
Because,
Go ahead.
You know, whenever you win your fight or whatever, it just, you'll feel much better about it because you know you did everything. You really push yourself to the limit, you know, and feel good about doing it.
One of the more fascinating things that happened a couple of weeks ago in Vegas was just how upset you were with your win over Roy Nelson. Here you are coming off the most high-profile win of your career, solid victory, and if someone just walked in and missed the fight, they would have thought that you lost. You were like depressed up there. Have you gotten over that? Did you feel a little bit better about the win?
No, I really wish I would have finished him, you know, but I guess he is what they say he is. You know, he got an iron chin. You know, because I hit that guy pretty hard, like one of the hardest punches I ever hit anyone standing up, and he didn't go out. So it was just a little mind-boggling, that's all.
Do you recall telling yourself, like, wow, I can't believe this guy's taking these punches? Did you have that inner discussion with yourself?
Yeah, for sure. Especially in the first round, I'm like, damn, this motherfucker is tough.
What was it like going the distance, getting the victory, but going the distance? That's the first time in your career that's happened, right?
Yeah, I went the distance 2 other times. It was just like I knew.
But you lost those,
never
didn't
in
you?
a good favor. Yes.
Yeah.
It's never in a good favor as me. So every time I go to decision anyway, I'm thinking the worst.
But you go the distance and win. I mean, cardio-wise, strength-wise, I mean, did you feel like you were still going as strong in the final minutes of the third round as you were in the first, or because you haven't done that before, did you feel like it was waning on you?
Well, I believe I was just in neutral mode. It was just in cruise control. I couldn't get any tired than what I was, and even if I had to go 2 more rounds, I believe I could really do it.
Oh yeah, championship rounds.
Yeah.
What about him hitting you? Did he ever really truly hurt you?
No, he didn't hit me at all. You know, he kicked me one time on my leg. It didn't hurt me. It just felt weird. That's all it did.
What's been
I haven't been kicked in a long time.
Yeah, those guys that you're fighting aren't big kickers. But what's been the difference lately? I mean, it really feels like you've turned a corner. You've won 4 in a row, all impressive victories. The talent keeps going up and up as far as your opponents. Has something changed? Do you feel like you've turned the corner as well?
I believe it's just my coaches. You know, my coaches spending more time with me. You know, more one-on-one time. You know, crew dog. I'm just putting more in my training.
You're putting more. Sorry, you broke up there. You're putting more what in your training?
I'm putting more time into my training. You know, I'm training more hours in a day, stuff like that. Trying to take it serious. Besides my diet part, you know, I just can't leave that alone right now.
So in the past, how long were you training a week, and how long are you training now?
In the past, I probably really started training probably like 4 weeks out before my fight, but now I'm just trying to start doing like 8 weeks, stuff like that.
Nice. And this is your full-time job, right?
Yes.
Nice. So after the fight, you said that you wanted Roy, even though you won, which was very unique. Have you gotten over that? Because I don't know if it makes a ton of sense for you.
No, I still want Roy because after Roy, I was going to try to go for Brock Lesnar, but since he ain't going to be around for a while, you know, or Mark Hunt,
right?
You know, but I just want to fight real soon. Whoever is ready to fight, like in September or even the end of August, I'll fight them. It don't matter who they are.
You're ready to go? No vacation?
No vacation. I'm good. It's too hot right now to be out there.
Well, you could go somewhere else on vacation.
Back in it. Nah, I'm good. I'm just ready to fight. I'm ready to go.
So have you had any talks with the UFC about what's next?
Yeah, I should find something. We should hear something back this week.
Oh.
They'll let me know.
What are you thinking?
Yeah, so.
What do you think they're going to come up with?
I don't know. I think Mark Hunt makes the most sense right now. To me.
I wonder if he's going to be ready to come back.
That Todd Duffy guy, I don't know if he's still on suspension or what.
Oh yeah,
That'd be a good fight.
I just saw
Forgot
him.
about him.
Yeah, I saw him at UFC 200. He's ready to go. He said he's looking for the he's waiting for that phone call.
Oh, okay. Well, it could be him.
Oh, okay.
So we'll see.
And then at the press conference, you fell asleep, which was amazing. Were you that bored?
Yeah, I don't really like doing all them interviews. They don't talk to me anyway. They probably just wanted me to sit up there and look at my pretty looks.
Yeah, that's right. Were you really sleeping though, or was it more of a message like, "Hey, please, please don't bother me right now"?
No, I was sleeping. I took a PM. I was tired.
Oh, you took one of those like cold pills?
Tylenol PM.
Yeah.
Tylenol PM. Yeah, I'm tired, man. It was around 1 o'clock. Come on.
That's true.
I'm in Houston time. Houston time is different.
Yeah. I don't blame you. I was tired too. It did look like you were legitimately sleeping. When they woke you up, you were yawning and stuff, rubbing out your eyes. That was amazing.
Man, I don't care. I'm just being myself. I don't care if people say, "Oh, it's disrespectful." Shit, you sit up there.
If it was up to you, you would do no interviews before and after your fight.
No, I don't like doing interviews.
Saying that during an interview, I don't know how I should take it. Like, are you upset right now? Is this annoying?
We're not doing an interview right now.
We're just chilling
on the phone.
We're just chilling.
Yeah, I'm just playing this like we just on the phone,
Yeah, yeah. So if I called you up now, like it's Monday afternoon, I'm like, "Hey, Derrick, what's up, man? What are you doing?" Like, what would you be doing on a Monday afternoon if I was just a friend?
Chilling with my kids.
Okay. How many kids do you have?
3.
And the oldest is how
2
old?
boys and a girl.
What age
She's
is?
12. 12.
12, and then what?
4 and 3.
Oh, wow. I saw a picture on your Instagram. Your son, does he really sleep with a clenched fist?
Yeah, he was. Yeah, yeah, he did that one time.
Wow. How would you feel if your son says, "I want to be a fighter"? How would you react to that?
It doesn't matter. I'll let him do whatever he want to do. I'm gonna give him a bunch of opportunities and see what he likes to do best. But right now, I'm just really trying to let him focus on school, him learning his ABCs and stuff like that.
Yeah, the ABCs are important. What's it like? Like, do the other parents at the school know what you do for a living?
Yeah, they do. I really don't try to go up there and get their attention, so I don't do this for their attention.
Sure.
Like I told other guys before, I just do it, put food on the table. I don't like all of the spotlight, really. I really don't.
Do you actually enjoy it, though? Do you enjoy the preparation and the actual fight?
Yeah, I like to fight. I love to fight. That's what I'm saying. I'm ready to go now.
Okay.
I like fighting, but just the attention that comes with it, I'm not with all that.
It's interesting to hear you say that, though, because your social media game is pretty top notch. If you were
yeah,
not...
it's just me being myself. I'm just being myself. I like to laugh. I like to crack jokes or whatever, but I'm not trying to get attention from it.
Is that all you, or do you have an assistant? I mean, some of that stuff is really well done.
Yeah, it's Adam Sandler.
He works for you?
Admin on my account. Yeah. You call him up and ask.
Yeah. Is he your favorite comedian?
Nah, Martin Lawrence.
Martin Lawrence, yeah. Back in the day. Martin Lawrence, that show was great.
Yeah. I seen him a few weeks ago here in Houston.
How was he?
Yeah, he's real good. I was hoping that he would be good, but he came out real good, too. He really was.
He's still kicking it, huh? He hasn't done a movie in a long time.
Yeah. You say they might be working on Bad Boys 3.
Oh, wow. He broke some news?
Yeah, that's what he said at the concert.
Wow. All right. How do you feel about Dwight Howard, by the way?
Yeah.
What? Dwight Howard? He left Houston.
What's that?
Dwight Howard.
Yeah.
How do you feel about him leaving?
It's good. He was soft anyway. I hate whenever he fouls somebody or do something stupid, he just start laughing and all that. I hate that. Don't be laughing. You're supposed to be mad, man.
Yeah.
Just turn the ball over.
So you're happy to see him go?
Yeah, I'm glad he's gone.
Wow.
Yeah.
He was complaining that he wasn't getting the ball enough, but if you look at the stats, he was getting the ball more than any center.
Yeah, he was getting the ball a lot. He was just soft.
Right. Do you feel like life has finally turned around? Like now you are enjoying the fruits finally of your labor. You're getting the pay that you deserve, because your story has been well documented, the ups and downs that you've been through. Do you feel like it's all coming together for you now?
Yeah, I believe so. I'm a strong believer everything happens for a reason.
Okay.
If I didn't go through those situations, I wouldn't be the man I am today. So I thank God for that.
Does it keep you on your toes though? Because that wasn't that long ago. I mean, it's amazing. You've been in the UFC for like what, 2.5 years, a little bit less maybe. You're reminded of that, so it doesn't let you take your foot off the gas, so to speak. You know what I'm saying?
Oh, for sure. And I look at my kids and see myself doing things stupid and leave my kids here, having some other guy take care of my kids. So my kids calling some other guy dad. So it's all about my kids,
Yeah.
As long as they're happy, as long as I can still provide for them, everything's good.
When you were dreaming of a better life, was it this good? Do you still have loftier goals, or is this better than you ever imagined?
Oh yeah, this is just on time. Everything happened, falling in place as we speak right now.
Wow.
Everything's good.
You dreamt of this type of success and all that?
Yeah, for sure. We got the house and stuff like that, and my business opened up like 2 weeks ago, my salon.
Oh, what's that?
And
what's the business?
I opened up a salon.
Oh wow! Congrats.
And, appreciate it. It's called Beauty Galore. That's the name of it.
Okay.
So be on the lookout for it.
And where is it? Give us the location, the address.
It's here in Cypress, Texas.
Okay.
In Barker, Cypress.
Is it men and women?
Yeah, it's men and women. You come there and get wax.
Nice.
Back wax, bikini wax, eyelashes, get your hair done, haircut.
Do you go there?
Everything there.
You go there?
Yeah, I went there, get my Brazilian wax. It's hot, man. You got to get all that done. It's hot.
I respect it. Is this something you've always wanted to do, own a salon?
Yeah, I own like a barbershop, really.
Yeah.
But salon opened up, so yeah.
Are you the sole owner?
Yes, I am.
Wow, that's amazing. Now, why didn't you call it like Beast Salon or something like that? The Black Beast Salon.
That's not pretty. That's not pretty.
Okay.
It got to be something beautiful.
Right. You're right. You're right.
I'm trying to attract more women now. It can't be called Beast.
Well, that's great. Congratulations on that. How far, by the way, how far do you think you are from the title talk at this point? 4 wins in a row, UFC heavyweight division. How far away are we?
I'll say about next year sometime, You see these guys be falling out because they got a broken nail, broken toe and stuff like that. But I'll say probably like a replacement fight next year sometime.
Wow. Do you envision the title fight against someone in particular? What's the dream scenario? Who do you take the belt from?
Maybe against Over.
Oh, wow. Why him?
I don't know. I think he'll beat Stipe.
You think he's going to beat Stipe, huh?
If Overeem could stay clean, I know he's tempted right now. I want to take them steroids right now. I know he's tempted. But if he could stay clean, I say we'll probably get out by next year.
Wow. What percentage of the heavyweight division do you think is juicing?
Probably like 70%.
Wow. So you think more often than not, when you're fighting these guys, they're doing something?
Yeah, for sure.
And that doesn't piss you off?
No, they don't piss me off at all. They're just stupid for them to do that because they know that they're getting random drug tests.
Sure.
They were willing to risk thousands of dollars for something so stupid like that. That's not going to even help them.
Do you think we see Brock again, or do you think he's done?
Depends on the suspension. I think he's like 38, 39 years old.
Yeah.
We'll see.
No. It's a shame because I know I was talking to some of the people, in the know, and we were saying, oh, Black Beast versus Brock, that would be fun. Jeez.
Yeah, it would be fun. He'll keep trying to take me down too. I just know I just need to work on my wrestling and my takedown defense.
Yeah.
If I do face him.
You feel comfortable with it, or not quite yet?
Yeah, I'm feel comfortable with anybody. I'll fight anybody. I fight Stipe, I fight Overeem, I fight Brock, Mark Hunt, anyone in the division, I fight them. No matter if they top 15 or top 10, I still fight them.
One last question for you, Derrick, and I respect that stance. Who's your favorite fighter to watch? Is there someone else in the UFC when you hear that he's fighting, you're like, oh, I got to watch this guy?
Anderson Silva.
Really? Anderson? Why him?
Because I just like the way he clown in the ring. I wouldn't ever clown like that in the ring,
right.
In the cage or octagon, whatever y'all call it.
Yeah.
In the octagon, I wouldn't ever do that, but I just like him, the way he acts and the way he treats his opponents.
And given what happened to him after the Nick Diaz fight, that didn't change your stance on him?
No, not at all.
So you were
not at all. Shit. He said he took some sexual pills. He got his stuff like that.
Sure,
but,
sure.
I believe him.
Oh.
No, I'm bullshit. I don't believe him, but it's still though. I still like him.
So you were probably one of those fans booing when Cormier was taking him down.
I was just shaking my head.
Why? He was doing what he needed to do to win.
Yeah, I know, but still boring though. But I know it's part of MMA.
Sure.
That's what they say.
Yeah.
But I really like to see him stand up. Even though he took the fight on 2 days' notice.
Crazy.
He still did pretty good. It still hurt him a couple of times.
Yeah. He's unbelievable.
Still there.
Did you stick around the whole week for the fights? Did you go Friday and Saturday?
Yeah, I was forced to stick around.
Why?
Because they said if I wanted to change my flight, the UFC was going to charge me $200-something. I'm like, all right, I'm going to be out here. I guess I'll stay in Vegas.
Did you go to the fights?
Days, yeah, I went.
Did you enjoy it? You enjoy it?
Yeah, it was not. It was good.
Yeah. Did they give you a good seat at 200?
It was okay.
All right.
I was probably like the 11th row back, but
that's not bad.
Yeah, Roy Nelson, he was in the 10th row back, so I really didn't like that.
Oh, what's up?
He was still sitting in front of me.
Did you talk to him?
No, I didn't talk to him. I just trying to see if he had any missing teeth. But no, I didn't talk to him.
Congratulations on your baby, by the way.
Oh, yeah, I appreciate it. Yeah, I think it's a boy, though.
What are you going to call him?
Herbert.
Oh, Derrick, you're the man. Don't ever change, Derrick. I love what you're doing.
No, I won't, man. I appreciate it, man.
Much respect to you.
Yeah.
Congratulations on the win, and I hope you get the fight that you want next. Thank you very much for stopping by.
And just let me know, again, like you told me earlier, about the Ronda Rousey fight, who she fight next. But I'm not going to tell nobody what you told me, though. All right. No, I'm just...
Thanks, Derrick.
All right, man. Appreciate it.
Trying to get me in trouble. There he is, the Black Beast. Much respect to him. Great stuff. A very entertaining man in and out of the cage. That was a lot of fun. Okay, let us move along now and welcome in our next guest. UFC on Fox 20 is a mere 5 days away. The main event is Holly Holm versus Valentina Shevchenko. What a fun fight that's going to be. 5 rounds in the UFC women's bantamweight division. And the Bullet, Shevchenko, Valentina Shevchenko, is joining us right now on the phone. Valentina, are you there?
I'm here. Just finished my morning training, Monday morning training, and I'm feeling very good.
Great.
Yes, and a lot of energy starting the week. So I'm ready in my 100% for the fight.
Oh, I love it. You're out of breath. You were just working out?
Just 2 minutes ago, I finished.
Oh, my gosh. Well, thank you for coming on. Thank you for squeezing us in. I appreciate it.
Thank you so much for calling me.
Okay, so my first question is, when you got the call that you were going to fight Holly Holm, big stage, Fox, main event, after the Amanda Nunes fight, were you surprised or did you think that they would go in that direction? Because you can make the case that this is a bigger fight than your first 2 fights in the UFC.
I'm just waiting for the calling from UFC and giving me opponent or the date for my next fight. Of course, for sure, when they asked me to fight Holly Holm, I was very glad to have this opportunity because it's a very good fight. I think it will be a great fight between two strikers. So I didn't think accept or not accept. I directly accept the fight and started my preparation for this fight.
Is given her background, how good of a boxer she is, and your background in Muay Thai, is this a fight that you had sort of been thinking about and dreaming about for a while? Wow, I wonder how it would go if I fought her.
Every time, like, I wanted to fight with the best fighters. I never had during all my career like easy fights, and I never was looking for some easy fight. So this is, I think, every time I wanted to fight with the best ones. So this is a great opportunity for everybody to see the good fight, good level of striking fight.
So obviously, you were involved in this very scary situation. Your coach, Pavel Fedotov, is that how you pronounce his last name?
Yes, it's correct.
Awesome. Involved. You guys were eating dinner not that long ago in Lima, Peru. Robbers come into the restaurant. They start shooting. He tries to defend you and everyone else. He gets shot as well. Will he be in your corner on Saturday? Is he doing okay?
He's not, now feeling much better. He's recuperating. It was really very scary, this situation for me because I was like in shock all 1 week and I could not train, did much thing. But now he's feeling better. Now he's recuperating, and yes, he will be in my corner this Saturday, and I'm very happy because of it, because it's meaning for me a lot.
Okay, so I know you've probably talked about it. Do you mind telling us exactly what happened when you were there, like from your perspective? Would that be okay?
You're saying it's everything correctly. We had dinner with our friends waiting. My sister from World Championship, she should come in one day after what's happening in next day. So she won gold medal in the World Championship of Muay Thai. We was very happy for her. And that moment, like I saw the robbers coming to the restaurant and shooting these guns to everybody in the restaurant, hitting everybody there, and in this moment, like Pavel, he decided very quickly, to protect me and everybody who was in the restaurant. Like 1 against 4 people with arms, so it was very, very scary. But everything was not 100 better. It could be happened. So I'm very happy now that he is very good. Now he's okay and helping me how he doing all this time in my trainings, in preparation of me. And I'm very happy that he, my sister, my old team, my mentors, Roger Allen, Pedro Caballero, he is near by me in this moment. And I'm very ready for the fight and just waiting the Saturday, 23rd of July.
Did you consider withdrawing from the fight because this was going on? Obviously, a very scary and traumatic event for you and your team, and you're about to fight in the biggest fight of your MMA career. Did you ever consider not taking the fight anymore because of what happened?
Even being in the hospital on the next few days, Pavel said, doesn't matter what's happened, you should take this fight and don't think about nothing. So I didn't consider not one small opportunity to refuse the fight. I was ready that mentally that I will continue my preparation. I was physically in the shock. I could not train in this all week because it was very, very, very deep situations for me. But I knew that in few days I will start my preparation. And when I started my preparation, I was totally in this process, thinking only about fight, thinking only how to put me in the very good form to sharp me. And so I was thinking only about it. And this is how it was, all this situation, we go through it.
Wow. How long was your coach out for? How many weeks or days did you not get to train with him because of the fact that he was shot?
He just feeling now better, but every time he was like speaking with me and like saying what I need to do, how I need to train. Every moment he was maybe not physically, but spiritually near me. So I every moment feeling this influences that he gave me every time.
Are you comfortable with going back to Lima after this fight? Do you plan on still living there despite what happened?
Sure, because I'm living in Lima, in Peru, already 8 years. It's very good and beautiful country, very good peoples, very good nature. It have ocean, mountains, very a lot of different beautiful things that inside of Peru. That's why I love this. I love this country, and doesn't matter what happened, because in every part of the world have bad peoples, but it's good that good peoples. It's every time it's more than bad people.
Well said. Do they know who the robbers were? Did they find them after the fact?
I heard that they already know the names, but I didn't was following this situation, because I'm really focused on the fight, and I'm trying to keep all my mind in my preparation. So I was and now I am focusing on the fight.
Okay. My last question on this story is, obviously you've called Pavel, your coach, sort of like a father figure to you. Once he got better and you knew that he was going to be okay, what do you say to someone like that who's trying to defend you and is putting his life on the line? Someone that's so close to you. Like what kind of? I can't even imagine the emotions involved. But did you have a chance to really sit down and talk to him about this and thank him for what he did, or are you guys going to deal with that after this fight?
I'm training with him already since 5 years old, already more than 20 years, and we are in now understanding each other without many words.
Wow.
So it's like he can see me and already say what I'm feeling, how I'm ready or preparing, how I feel this moment. So it's like I can say it's like next level of relationship. So I think in this situation it's not pretend to say many words, because the real feelings that I have and like I have for him, it's like inside me, and he's every time know it. It's without many words.
Wow, that is beautiful. So you've been with him for over 20 years. You never separate. You've always trained with him since you were 5 years old. No one else as like your head coach.
Yes, he's every time with me. Like
Wow.
It's the same with my sister Antonina. We are traveling together around the world, training in different places, and it's like a very team.
In a weird way, is it possible that what happened to you before this fight, now that everyone's okay, kind of give you a new sense, of your career, and you recognize that this is just an athletic event, and maybe puts less pressure on you? Is that possible going into such a big fight? Have you been able to turn it into that?
Every time I trying to superate every situation what give me the it's possible to say the destiny, and I know every situation what it's put in our way, in our in our life, we need to superate it to become stronger. And I know this situation it's did me more stronger. I tried every time in my moment to take concentrate me on the preparation, concentrate me on my life, on everything what I do. It is more like power, with more feelings to do my job what I like, because martial arts it's not my job, martial arts it's my life. I do it more than 20 years. Martial arts for me it's all my life, my philosophy, my style of life, and I very love what I do, and I'm very happy to have this kind of life.
Okay, so you saw, I'm sure, that Amanda Nunes is the new champion. Your last fight was against her. It was a very close fight. What was that like for you to see that the woman that you were close to defeating not that long ago is now the champion? How did you feel when you saw that whole thing unfold a couple of weeks ago?
Yes, I saw the fight. She's a strong fighter. She has very good distance, very good ground techniques. So it's her chance, and he takes this chance. So in the future, I know I will have my opportunity to fight for the title. So I'm keeping me busy. I'm like every time preparing, every time in the form, and just waiting my opportunity.
Have you been told that if you win this fight against Holly Holm that you will get the next title shot?
I don't want to speak about the future plans because I really concentrate in my fight this Saturday, and I put everything over there, and this is what I'm focused in right now at this moment.
Okay. I saw your coach mention that, Holly's the kind of fighter that likes to use the distance. Obviously, she likes to box, kickbox. And other fighters, prior to the Ronda Rousey fight, when she fought Marion Renault, when she fought Raquel Pennington, had trouble closing that distance and really getting a chance to connect with her. And your background is Muay Thai, so obviously you need the distance to be closer to really be effective with your knees and elbows and things like that. Are you concerned at all that it's going to be that kind of fight, that you're going to have to chase her a lot, that you're going to have to work very hard just to close the distance before you're able to actually inflict damage? Do you get what I'm saying?
It could be every type of the fight. It all depends on that moment in the fight. So, how said my coach, MMA fighter of mixed martial arts, he could know every technique, stand up, wrestling, ground, everything. So, this opportunity, he can have like more arms and more arsenal in this techniques. So, I try to be like be a very different fighters, and I will be using all my techniques, what I know in this fight. It's all what all will be depends of that moment in the octagon. So I will using everything. It doesn't matter what I need to do. I will do it.
How do you think you win?
I don't want to think about how how it will be possible or how it will be. I don't want to think about this. But one thing I know, I will do everything all with my heart to put in that fight, because it's very responsibility, very big responsibility to be the main event of the all fight night of the UFC. And I know it will be good fight, because I know me and Holly, we are preparing very good for this fight. He will put everything to do everything, and I will 100% to put on the octagon to win the fight.
I know you've been competing for a long time, but does this feel different? Does this feel like a bigger fight? Like, do you think you're going to be a little more nervous before this fight because it's a main event on Fox?
I'm in the sport during a lot of years. I know how control it me all feelings, all nervous, because if you have a lot of nervous, it doesn't help. If you had not nervous, it also doesn't help. So you had to have this much nervous and all pressure what you should have. This is what I need, and I'm a professional. I know how to control all this kind of stuff. So I'll keep in all my energy before the Saturday, 23 of July, and this moment I will be explode everything.
Oh, all right. Final thing for you. Why do they call you Bullet, by the way? Where did that nickname come from?
It's my ring name. It came from my coach, Pavel, and he did me when I had my first professional fight, because long training, long time training together. He know every part of me, all my qualities in the training. So he gave me this ring name because of speed, because of power, because of everything. And I'm very happy that I have it, because it's it's like every time with me during all my fighter career.
That's great. All right. Well, I wish you the best of luck. I'm so happy that everything turned out well for both you and your coach a few weeks ago in Peru. And I'm happy that you made it to Chicago and you're getting this big opportunity. Best of luck to you, Valentina. Great to talk to you, and looking forward to the fight on Saturday. Thank you.
Thank you so much. Goodbye.
Goodbye. There she is, Valentina Shevchenko, the Bullet, facing Holly Holm in the main event of UFC on Fox 20 this Saturday. The United Center in Chicago, Illinois. The other big fight on the card, Gilbert Melendez making his return to the UFC after his 1-year suspension. Crazy that it's been a year. He is fighting Edson Barbosa in a very important lightweight fight. Remember, the last time we saw Gilbert, he was losing a very close decision to Eddie Alvarez in Mexico, UFC 188. And it does feel like Edson Barbosa is finally putting it all together, doesn't it? I mean, it really feels like this is a guy who in the past has won a few and then lost the big one. and he I don't know, something feels different. Maybe it's because he moved to New Jersey. He's living there year round. He's training more with Mark Henry, who by now I think very highly of. Something seems to have changed with Edson Barbosa. So that's a very important fight in the lightweight division. We'll talk more about that card a little later on. Let's move along now to our next guest. We'll go to the magic of Skype. There he is, joining us via the magic of Skype, is the co-founder of the UFC way back when and the current CEO of Combate Americas, the one and only Campbell McLaren, joining us right now. Campbell, how are you?
Ariel, I'm very well. Thanks for having me on. Good to be back.
Yes, it is a pleasure, as always. Okay, so there's a lot I want to talk to you about, but I want to start with this. Around a month or so ago, you were talking to the guys at Submission Radio, and you broke your own news that you had put in a bid, along with others, to try and buy the UFC for around $2.8 billion. Is that accurate?
That's very accurate. But you don't brag about getting the losing bid.
Sure.
Right? I mean, there's no point to that. And, the private equity firms are notoriously secretive.
Yes.
So that, guys don't want to come out and say, I didn't get it. But this all came out of conversations I had with Lorenzo back in February. And, I think it was pretty clear sitting in the room with him that he was thinking about football. He was thinking about his kids playing football. He was thinking about maybe buying a football team. He loves football like he loves the UFC. And I thought the time would be right to go in there and, make a very, very good offer. $2.8 billion, by the way, sounds like a lot of money to me. I thought we were in a good place with that, but, obviously the market dictated a higher price, which is great.
Why were you there in the first place?
Why was I talking to Lorenzo?
Yeah, why were you there in February talking to him? Obviously not about the sale, right?
Lorenzo and I have ongoing conversations. He's been very supportive of Combate Americas. The first thing I did 4 years ago when I decided to get serious about this is I went out to see Lorenzo and Dana, and I said, this is what I'm going to do. They're pretty powerful guys to have as enemies, and I think of them as friends. So I've kept them informed. Lorenzo's been, it's too much to say an unofficial advisor, but he's had some opinions on Combate Americas that I appreciated getting.
So while you're there, you get the sense that this is a guy who might be interested in selling. So you go back to your people, and now you start to gather a team to try to buy the UFC. Is that how it went down?
Oh, that's exactly right. That's exactly what happened.
That's amazing.
Combate Americas is, a very serious enterprise with, Rothschild Bank as advisors and Joe Plumeri, one of our investors. You saw that KKR was one of the purchasers of the UFC. So Joe Plumeri is a longtime associate of Henry Kravitz. So, the MMA, it's funny. You started off saying I co-created the UFC way back when. It's really only 23 years ago.
It is amazing.
And now we're talking about this as a very, very established sport with some very big dollars, connected to it. So it's kind of funny, right? I mean, the UFC is, when I was working on it way back when, as you say, was very successful. It generated a lot of money. It was the period before Lorenzo and Dana came in when it was really down in the dumps. So it's had two pretty successful periods. Obviously, the first one not as successful as $4.2 billion.
Yeah.
But, we needed a big truck to collect the pay-per-view money back then. It was a big hit back then, too.
So did you guys actually submit a bid to buy the UFC? Did it get to that point and then you were turned down?
No. We went in. The group I went in with, very, very disciplined investors, and I'm really not going to name them.
Okay.
Impressive group, powerful group, and the last thing they wanted to do was get into a bidding process.
Okay.
And I think that's where you've seen the numbers quoted in the press. Fox supposedly offered $2 billion a few years ago. It's been inching up. It's been leaping up. And I think my group just didn't want to get into a process where they were. Look, the UFC stated EBITDA. Their profit last year was $200 million. So you're doing 20 times that as an offer. If you know anything about the financial world, that's a big multiple.
Yeah.
So my guys didn't want to go. They were looking at 12 to 14 times EBITDA.
Okay, so then let me ask you this. When you hear the news that sold for $4 billion. What's your reaction? Are you floored by this number? Do you think that was, that?
No, when Lorenzo and I were getting into it, he had a great point. He said, "Look, I've built out Europe. We're working on South America. We're working on Asia. We've spent the money doing it, but none of the money is starting to flow in. I want some credit for the platform I built that hasn't come online yet."
Okay.
That's a pretty good argument. Not good enough to sway my guys.
Sure, but you said 20 times the profit. Usually, as I've heard, it's 14, 15, 16. So
12 to 14 is a pretty comfortable range, and that's for a sexy company too. If you're going into the drapery business, you might not pay 14 times.
That's true. Good to know. I was considering it.
It's a backup for all of us.
So when you hear about the $4 billion, you think that WME, IMG, and others, they got a good deal here, or do you think that it was a little too much? What's your reaction to that number?
Again, I'll come back to the sport is 23 years old.
Yeah.
I think it's got nowhere to go but up.
Okay.
KKR doesn't. If they bought it, at a $4 billion price tag, they think it's worth $8 billion.
Okay.
Those guys don't play.
Right.
It's just they're not going in and going, "Hey, let's roll the dice here."
Sure.
They're deep in their analysis. I think, look, you got to look at where the UFC is, and I can segue to Combate easily from this point. But primarily, I think the UFC has been successful in English-speaking markets.
Okay.
Right. U.S., Canada, Australia, and the UK.
Yeah.
Germany, as you know, is a huge combat sports territory. They love boxing. Boxing does very well on TV there. But the UFC hasn't really gotten any traction in Germany. Hasn't in France. Hasn't in Spain. Not much in Portugal. Starting in the Middle East. I would say not a ton of traction in South America. Getting there a little bit in Asia. So you've really got the world to go yet. And everybody reads box office now. Yeah. Right? You see what happens. You can have a bomb in the U.S., and if it's a hit in China, you're still making a lot of money. So the UFC has really only been making money in the English-speaking countries. So I think, I don't know if the sky's the limit, but there's a lot of growth yet.
If SEG doesn't sell to Zuffa in 2000, are we even talking about MMA? Does MMA even exist, or do you think that the sport would have died?
No, I don't think it would have died. I mean, and there was a couple guys back then. Certainly Scott Coker was starting to pay attention back then, right? And how old is King of the Cage? Doesn't King of the Cage go back to the about 2000 or late 1990s? So
it does. Yeah, but I'm wondering if you think that is it fair to say that the Fertittas and Dana White saved the sport in the sense that...
Oh, absolutely.
Okay. All right.
Iced coffee and salute to them for doing so. Yeah. No, it's good for all of us.
Okay. Why are you getting back in the sport?
Well, what do you mean? Emotionally, psychologically?
Yeah. Okay. Here's my
a deep question for me, Ariel. You threw me.
I'm a deep guy. I wait for you to drink your coffee and then I hit you with the 1-2. So here's the thing. I find out that Campbell McLaren is getting back in the MMA business and he's going full steam ahead, and this is his new venture. And I think to myself, wow, this is a guy that was there from the beginning, left. I'm sure there are times when you sit back and you're like, geez, these guys got $4 billion. I wish I had a piece of that. I wish I stuck around. I wish I was getting that kind of money credit-wise for the work I did in the early days. And now you're getting back in it from the ground up. That's an exhausting process because you know what it takes to build something from the ground up. Why are you doing it again? You only have one life to live. Why are you going back to the MMA world?
That might be the answer. You only have one life to live, right?
Okay.
You should do something you really love.
Okay.
Combate Americas is about 4 years old.
Yep.
So you're right. Building something to the ground up does take a lot of effort. Here's the when you go out to raise money, you always have an anecdote, right? You have your origin story, is what they call it in Silicon Valley. So you go out and you have your story. So here's my story. I'll give it to you quickly.
Sure.
So UFC Indianapolis. This is going back, I think, about 5 years. My mom was very, very ill. I went to high school there. My family continued to live there. I got out of Indianapolis and went to California, went to school out there, and didn't go back. But my mom was sick, so I went back to see her. Very sad time. If you've had an aging parent, it's a very sad time. And the UFC was in town, and I've been thinking a little bit about alternatives to the UFC and what might work and why do something when it's already perfect at the UFC. So I wasn't going to go, but I called Rogan and I said, dude, I'm very depressed. You know, my mom is sick. She died after that. And Joe said, well, we don't have any seats. We don't have any seats. Come sit next to me and move. And so if you watch in that show, you can sort of see like this much of me to whatever side to the left of Joe. And I'm sitting there. And Joe told Dana, you know, oh, Campbell's mom's very sick. He's not feeling great. And Dana said something like, go back in the Octagon Girls trailer. That'll cheer you up. And, you know, I just celebrated 30 years of marriage. I'm not looking for an Octagon Girl or La Howla Girl or any other kind of girl. But I did go, you know, because those girls are pretty, you know, and I was back there. But I tell you, I was looking, I go, they're all really pretty, but they're all really skinny. They're like Asian models skinny.
Okay.
And I'd been thinking about a little bit about Hispanic fighting. And I thought, well, the first thing is, I'm going to get different girls.
Okay.
I'm going to get girls with a little more happening.
Sure.
And then as I got into that, there are a lot of aspects of Combate Americas that I think are very different from the UFC. I have to work very hard not to beat up on Bellator. I
Don't
really
work.
have to work.
Just...
I have to work at it. But why? Why is there a Bellator? For what purpose? There's some great athletes over there. I was a big Eddie Alvarez fan. I was a Kimbo fan. Why is there Bellator? There's no substantial different point of view in what Bellator does than what the UFC does. Scott's brought in, some Scott. Let's call it what it is. He's using my guys in Bellator.
What do you mean?
He's using Shamrock, Gracie.
Okay. Gotcha.
The biggest stars in Bellator are guys that I started with 20 years ago. So, with Combate, we did some numbers. We were looking at some numbers. Combate, because the guys are coming in from boxing. In Mexico and Puerto Rico and U.S. Hispanics, the martial art is boxeo, right? So the guys are coming in with a boxing background and they're learning grappling arts. They're learning jiu-jitsu primarily. In the UFC days, primarily we had grapplers that learned how to strike, right? And Royce didn't even think he needed to know how to strike. He used that as a feint to get in and get you. So I think Combate Americas is sort of the flip side of this. We're finding guys that are boxers that are learning mixed martial arts. The UFC primarily has found grapplers and taught them striking. So what happens is in Combate Americas, you see a faster sport. I don't want to say more exciting because I love the ground game. I really like watching a really good ground game. I'm not going to say more exciting, but more fast-paced, more stand-up fighting. We also saw this year, Combate Americas goes to a finish. The fights go to a finish 78% of the time. So if you're not a numbers guy, that means it's a fuck lot, right? It's 78%. Like, that's a lot. The UFC, by way of comparison, 54% finishes. The rest of the time, judges. And Bellator, 37%. So if you look at that and you go, Combate Americas, my guys want to fight standing up. In the tradition of Mexican and Puerto Rican boxers, they can be ahead on points on the 12th round. They still come out swinging.
But why limit yourself to just Hispanic fighters? Because that's a small talent pool.
Oh, the hell it is.
So
65 million Hispanics in the U.S., plus I have Mexico and the Caribbean to pull from. I think it's an overlooked talent pool, Ariel. I think it's actually a great place to look for new talent. And I think, again, to not beat up on Bellator, what you've got to do is establish new talent if you want this sport to grow.
Fair.
And I'm going in and I'm looking at guys that are 20, 21, 22 years old. And they're very hungry. This is a great opportunity for them. And they really fight. And you know what? The UFC's got Brazil covered pretty well.
Yeah.
There's a lot of Brazilians in the UFC. So I wasn't looking in Brazil. But let me look in the Caribbean. Let me look in Texas or Chicago and find new Hispanic fighters to fight. Remember, UFC and MMA are used interchangeably. But they're not the same thing. The UFC is a style of fighting, just as Combate Americas is a style of MMA fighting. And I'm looking for guys that, do fight in a certain style. I tend to find most of them with Hispanic fighters.
If I can offer a counterpoint to your question, I think it was a rhetorical question, but I'll use it as just a general question as to why Bellator exists. I mean, I think that there's a very good reason why they exist.
It wasn't rhetorical.
Oh, okay.
So
Look,
please answer.
Don't you think it's good to have a Bellator around? Don't you think it's good to have a Viacom around to give fighters another outlet so there isn't only one game in town? I mean, you guys are just 4 years old. I don't think you're getting into a bidding war for Rory McDonald, right? So Rory McDonald wants to test the market and see how much he's really worth as opposed to just taking any deal from the UFC. Isn't that at the end of the day good for the growth of the sport?
Well, you're quoting, this has gotten to be an economics discussion. So you're just quoting open markets are better for consumers, better for...
Not consumers.
I guess for the athletes.
Yeah.
So, yeah, the answer is yes.
So
but let me tell you, it seems to be the other way around because just this week, Bellator's come after 2 of my fighters that are under contract.
Uh-oh.
Kira Batara and Ray Rodriguez.
So what's happening? What do you mean coming after? What does that mean, coming after?
They've made offers for them to come and fight for them.
Oh, they were free agents?
They're not free agents.
So how could they do that?
Not legally.
Okay, so that
not ethically.
Right. So what are you going to do about it?
They can't have Kira. I've seen on some rankings in 105, she's number 6 in the world.
Okay.
She's fighting for us August 11th.
Yeah.
Ray, if somebody wants to call, Micah Fromowitz and talk him through that, we might hear that on Ray. Ray wants to kick some Bellator ass.
Okay.
So, look, it's a good promotion. Scott Coker knows what he's doing. I just don't, you're right. It's better if there are choices in places, but there's also in this world of so many media options and so many entertainment options. How do you see them? This is not rhetorical either. How do you see them? Like I consider the UFC world-class athletes. I consider Combate Americas the best new athletes, and I consider Bellator the retirement home for the UFC. So, and I don't think that's really their brand. How do you see the Bellator brand?
I think that the Bellator brand under Scott Coker, because it's changed dramatically since he came on board, was a brand that was looking to find its face, because they tried to use the Kimbos, Shamrocks, Ortizes, as you mentioned, and in ways in which I didn't agree, but the ratings would suggest that putting them in these positions in these main events was actually successful, and then trying to use those guys to help trickle down to the rest of the card and build up new talent. And I think to suggest right now in July of 2016 that they're just a retirement home is inaccurate, because they have guys like Michael Venom Page. They have guys like Michael Chandler. They have some actually good young fighters. Oh, and by the way, Benson Henderson is signing there. They're talking to Rory McDonald. They just signed Matt Mitrione. So I think it's starting to evolve. I think the early direction was, hey, let's get these big names from yesteryear just to attract people to get away from the season format. And now we'll get to work. I always said when Scott came aboard, it's been a little more than 2 years. And this doesn't have to be a Bellator discussion, but my last point is, I always said it's gonna take 5 years to truly understand whether or not it was a good idea on Viacom's part to bring in Scott Coker. Now we're 2+ years in. So let's see. Let me ask you this. Are you happy with where Kombacha is 4 years in? You're on Fight Pass now. You've got a show coming up August 11th. You're slowly but surely gaining some momentum. Is this where you want it to be? Is this quicker than you thought, the place that you're in? A little slower? Where can you tell us about the growth of the company?
I think I'm ahead of schedule.
Okay.
We've done very well with NBC Universo. So that's NBC's Spanish cable network. I've been offered to jump ship and go to 3 other networks, so that's pretty good. Our ratings, we did a series of shows throughout May, 4 Mondays in a row. The ratings were up 50% from last year. That's good.
Yeah.
Fight Pass told me I had made the night for them. They don't release numbers like most OTT platforms don't, but they said I'd made the night. And we have a huge offer to bring the franchise to Mexico. So I'm in Mexico City this week, and maybe going to work that out. So going international, Fight Pass, NBC, yeah, we're in a really good place. And I think the fights, look, if your fights aren't good, I can talk all this financial investment bank bullshit, branding bullshit. But the truth of the matter is, if you watch fights, like if you watch our guy Ricky Palacios in his last fight, that was one of the best fights I've seen this year. We're putting on great fights. And, and I really stand behind that. That is both hype and true.
Who owns
right?
Combate?
If you watch Combate, it's a lot of fun.
Who owns Combate?
A group of investors, including myself.
Okay, and do you feel that in this day and age, with around 45 or so UFC events a year, with around 20-something or so Bellator events, with around 10 or so World Series of Fighting events, is there enough room for another organization? Is there ever too much MMA for the consumer?
Great. You know what? That's a great question.
Well, thank you.
That is a really good question. Everybody should be asking that, right? And maybe you do ask everybody that comes on the show. But for the hardcore fan, I don't think there is too much.
Okay.
Right? But in terms of, but you've got to make money. You've got to sell tickets. You've got to sell advertising. You've got to sell pay-per-view. So, yeah, no, there's too much. Wow. I think this is a pretty interesting time right now. I think with the UFC being sold, the really fast rise of women's MMA turning into now what looks like a free-for-all to a great extent. I mean, there's a bunch of factors now that I think are really making the sport and the industry very, very exciting. But I think as we look around the dial, I think a lot of the companies you're watching now aren't going to be here in a year.
Wow. Okay. Remains to be seen. Combate returns Thursday, August 11th. At the Exchange in Los Angeles, California, 9 p.m. Eastern, 6 Pacific. That's on UFC Fight Pass. If you want to watch the English broadcast, they are gaining some steam, and very much in large part due to this man, Campbell McLaren, joining us, the CEO of Combate Americas. I wish you the best, Campbell. Sorry that your $2.8 billion bid didn't work out, but look, I think that you're
more to invest in. Combate. What can I tell you?
All the best to you. Thank you very much. Good to catch up.
Thanks, Sarah. Thanks. Appreciate being on.
All right, there he is, Campbell McLaren, the CEO of Combate Americas, who is returning on August 11th. Okay, he mentioned the rise of women's MMA. Pretty good segue right there. The brand new UFC women's bantamweight champion, Amanda Nunes, is joining us right now on the phone. How about this? Very exciting stuff. Amanda, are you there?
Yes. Hello. Hi, guys.
Hello. How are you? Thank you very much for joining us, Amanda. It's great to have you on the show.
Thank you so much for having me. Thank you.
So it's been 9 days since you became champion. What's life like? How would you describe your life as UFC champion?
I sleepy very good, last night. It was the best sleep that I have. Because being very, it's a dream coming true for me, and, to have this belt at home, make me so, unbelievable, and everything's getting so crazy, and now again everything is normal.
I saw that you tweeted a picture of you sleeping with the belt. Have you really been sleeping with the belt every night?
Only one night.
Only one night.
But
okay.
I put the belt by my side in the bed.
Wow. What was it like? It was very nice to see when you came back to the gym, American Top Team, with the belt. What was that like for you to come back to the gym in Coconut Creek and share the belt with your teammates and friends?
It was very, very, very happy for me back with this belt. Make the group more strong. And it was amazing. It was amazing walking the gym with the belt. Everybody waiting for me in there. It was an amazing moment.
How many times have you watched the fight against Miesha Tate?
A lot. All the time when I have a chance, I watch again.
Wow.
Watch again. A bunch of times.
It's interesting. I remember watching the fight and you rocked her, and then at one point you went for the rear naked choke, and I was wondering, is she giving her an opportunity to sort of recover? And of course it worked, so it was the right call. But I thought it was very symbolic that you would go for the rear naked choke, and that's what won you the belt because of your nickname. How do you pronounce your nickname? It's Leao. Is that correct? Leoa. And the
Leoa.
The Mata Leao is the rear naked choke. That was sort of like your signature move. Did you think about that as well?
Actually, this is my best move. I always work in everything. But the rear naked choke is the best move that I have. And every position, I always finish it in that position. And that's why it works very well.
Did you go for the submission because your hand was hurting? Is that why you decided to go to the ground and try to submit her there?
No, I don't feel my hand in the fight.
Oh.
I feel my hand right after when I walked in the cage, right after. And when I saw, she's already done on the feet, and then I decided, like I saw she's hurt. I saw her nose, very bleed a lot, and I decided to go to the submission because it was very easy to get. I don't wanna if this fight go, I don't wanna make any mistakes. When I saw she's available to get the choke, and then I went full.
Were you when you were preparing for the fight, did you expect that you'd be able to finish her that quickly? Did you think that this would be a relatively short fight for you?
I know I'm better than Misha everywhere. Like I said, my whole interview. And I know whatever moment in the fight I can finish her on the feet, on the ground. But I don't think it's going to be in the first round. I think we're going to go to the second and the third, and then we're going to get the victory. But I'm surprised. And I touched a couple times with her and jab. I saw she's like her in the first jab. So wow, I don't think because I thought Misha's was tough, because I watched her fight against O'Reilly Holmes, she keep it going. But when I touched her, I saw my hand was very heavy, and I knew I'm gonna get it as soon as possible.
Yeah, I thought it was so impressive because Misha, her greatest attribute is that she's hard to break, and you broke her very quickly. So I thought that was incredibly impressive. And before the fight, she was saying that she thought that you were easy to break. She said a lot about you going into this fight in a very sweet and friendly way, but if you actually listen to what she was saying, she was taking a lot of shots at you. Did those bother you? Were you insulted by those?
No. I think at that time the fighters have to sell the fight. I think she only have this to tell about me because she knows I'm better than her, only because my old fight happened things, but you never take this take the fight for her last fight, I always back to the gym to come back stronger and stronger. And I think she only have talk about my mental, something like that, but she was very wrong.
Do you think that maybe she looked at your last performance and said, oh, it was split decision, you didn't get a finish, maybe you got a little tired, and said, oh, okay, this isn't going to be as hard, and there was some talk that she chose you over Holly Holm. Do you think that this all kind of played into her being too confident going into the fight?
Yeah, for sure. I think she watched the whole time my last fight. She thought was my gas tank or something like that was broken. But I'm very I'm very focused for that fight. I prepared my mental, I prepared everything to be ready for that moment in my career. Whatever my last fight, was the way, I got tired in the third round, but I know my next step is gonna be for fight for the title. I know I'm gonna be ready for.
And speaking of the mental part of the game, did it affect you at all that you became the main event, that there was more tension on your fight, that you were last on the card after everything that happened to John Jones? How are you dealing with that all week long?
Oh, it's smooth, everything okay. In that week, everything changes very fast. And the day the fight, I walked my first fight in my career. It was unbelievable how calm, how control about myself I was. I'm shocked too because I work a lot, in those things getting calm because I have a lot of energy and sometimes I don't know how to control. But now I know, and this is making me more interesting to see how I'm gonna be my next fight, And it was very smooth. The whole situation over there, go to the main event. I take everything very smooth.
Why do you think that you were so calm before the biggest fight of your life? Usually it's the opposite. Why do you think that was?
Exactly. I prepared. I don't know. I was very calm. I didn't think like the whole time I'm gonna walk for fight for the main event into the title. I'm telling you, I the way I walked that day, I thought I'm gonna like fight. The same way I walked in my first fight in my career was like crazy. I feel that. I talked to Nina about that. Actually, I look at Nina the whole time. You know, me and Nina have a very good connection. We train together. We do everything together. We have like amazing relationship. And sometimes in the fight, I look at Nina. She's like more nervous than me.
Wow.
And for this fight, even Nina, I look at her eyes. I can read things, and I saw she's very calm. She usually tell me things. This fight, like, you have everything. Go have fun. And it was like unbelievable.
Wow.
I can't explain these kind of things because I'm a connection only me and Nina know.
Yeah. That's amazing. What was it like when you actually felt the tap and that you became champion? It starts to sink in. Did that feel like you expected it to, or was it different than you had dreamed of?
You know, when I get Misha's back, I know I'm 100% I'm going to submit to her because that position, I love that position. I work in that position a lot. And when she tapped, like everything shut down. Like, wow, I'm the champion now. It's the dream come true, and like I'm so happy. If you see like for a little bit of time, I know I don't believe it, you know, and then like when the wife put the belt, like yes, this is happy. It was the best moment of my life.
I was going to ask you that. So the happiest moment, have you ever felt emotion like that before in terms of positive emotion? That moment where you realized you were the champion, they put the belt. We actually have a great picture of you sort of screaming when you got the belt. Would you say that's the happiest moment of your life?
The happiest moment of my life, because a lot of people did this with me, you know?
Yeah.
And I don't only make me happy with my family is happy, my team is happy, a lot of fans, like a lot of people there, you know, cheering for me. Like this in one moment, like not only for me, like for everybody, you know, was amazing.
Okay, and so your hand, it's not broken, right?
No broken. It's a little bit slowly right now.
Yeah.
But I'm gonna do the MRI to, you know, make sure because it's still slowly.
Okay.
Maybe a nerve or something, but no broken. The good news.
That is great news. Congratulations. So when do you want to come back? Have you thought about that? When would you like to fight again?
You know, I have to go to Brazil, see my family for 2 weeks, and soon I come back from there, I'm going to start it, and I'm going to be ready for, you know.
So there are a lot of options, and of course the biggest one is Ronda Rousey. Are you hoping that she's going to come back and your first title defense is against her? Is that what you want?
Whatever happens, I'm going to be ready for, you know. For sure, if Ronda coming back, it's going to be huge.
Yeah.
You know, of course, a lot of people want to see Ronda come back again, and I'm going to be ready for her. But if she don't come back, have other girls in the line, I take it too.
Do you have a preference? Like, you probably can make the most amount of money fighting Ronda, right?
Yeah, but I don't want to stay in the gym only training, you know. I want to prepare for the fight. If Ronda don't come back, please give it to me, somebody else. I take.
After the fight, I don't know if you were listening, but Juliana Pena was saying that she really wants to fight you, that she'd ragdoll you, things like that. Did you get a chance to see her fight against Kat Zingano, someone that you know? I know you were preparing, but if you did get to see it, were you impressed with her performance?
Yeah, I saw her fight. I saw her. I'm not impressed at all.
Oh.
And I'm not impressed with her performance. And I watched the fight in the locker room.
Mm-hmm.
But congratulations to her. She beat Kat. But I know I'm going to be the champion for a long time, you know, and whatever coming, Juliana, Ronda, whatever, I'm going to be ready for.
Why weren't you impressed with her performance?
Because I think like go to the fight, you know, to finish the fight. You know, I thought she like take too much time. I think she don't I don't know how to explain. Like she can't give it to her a lot of spaces to finish the fight on the field, on the ground, but she don't know how to take it that moment. You know, I think this was the mistake.
Okay.
And Juliana, that's why I'm not impressed, because she don't know how to see the moment in the fight she can finish it. You know.
I remember when you came into Elite XC, a lot of people were saying, way back when, a lot of people were saying, oh, this could be the woman to defeat Chris Cyborg. You remember that when people were talking about you versus Chris Cyborg a long time ago? And now...
Yeah, I remember that. I remember.
And it didn't really work out back then. But now Chris is in the UFC. She can't fight at 135. I'm wondering if you're still interested in fighting her, maybe at 140 or 145. Does that interest you at all, or do you want to stay at 135?
I'm a 135 champion, you know, and I'm going to stay there.
Okay.
To fight in my division. You know, it doesn't make any sense for me to go up, you know, because I want to be the best in 135 division.
Okay. So you're going to stay there, and if she can make it, she can make it. What? Speaking of those days, what has been the difference for you? Because I remember you came in, Strikeforce, the Alexis Davis fight, and then Sarah DeLelio and Invicta. And now you've looked amazing as of late. Do you feel like something changed? Is it, you teaming up with ATT? Is there something going on in your personal life? What is the secret to the success that you've been enjoying lately?
Yeah, I never stop. Always when I back to the gym, when I lost fight and back to the gym, I always think better, watch the fight again and see what I think at that moment, what the things goes wrong in that moment, and then it happened the same against Kat Zingano. Right after Menina, we talk about and we decided we're gonna switch gym and then pick the best team on the planet, and we decided America top team and work very well. And of course, I work a lot of things, personal things, and being working very well.
Do you feel like it's important to hold the belt for a long time to prove that this division isn't, because the belt has now changed hands 3 times? Are you looking forward to saying, okay, it's not going to move for a very long time? Is that an important thing for you?
Yeah, for sure. I'm going to keep this belt until I retire.
Oh, wow.
And until I retire, I'm going to keep this belt. And I'm going to prove everybody I'm the best, and I'm going to stay there until I retire.
Do you feel like people still don't believe that you're the best?
I don't really pay attention, I don't really care about people say, and that's why I don't go all the time in my social media and stuff like that. I post something, I give attention, but I don't care, I believe it. I believe in myself. My coach believe in me, and it's the thing I care about. And moving forward, and then keep improving, to people, prove it to myself, and go forward. And then people are gonna talk, because I have fans, Ronda, I have Misha's fans, and then I have my fans, and this is, all the fans talk anyways. You won, or if you lose it, they're gonna keep talking. They're never gonna stop.
And what about the fight coming up this Saturday, Holly Holm and Valentina Shevchenko, that who do you think is going to win that fight?
I think Holly Holm is going to beat Valentina Shevchenko.
Okay.
But it's going to go to 5 rounds.
Yeah.
Fight. It's going to go to decision this fight.
A lot of people seem to think that as well. 2 last questions for you. The night before your fight, or was it 2 nights before? No, 2 nights before, Rafael dos Anjos lost his belt, and for a while there were no Brazilian champions for a long time now. I know Jose Aldo is interim champion, but you're the only, official champion. Was that an important thing for you to bring a belt back to Brazil? And when you go back to Brazil to see your family, are they going to make a big party for you?
Oh yeah, everybody wanna right away after the fight I go to Brazil, but I have to do a couple things in America first, and then next week I'm gonna back to Brazil, and then for sure I'm going to have a huge party there. Everybody wait for me.
Wow.
I have a nation away from me.
That is great. And my last question is, a little bit was made of the fact that you're the first openly gay champion in UFC history. Is this something that you're comfortable with? Do you like when people talk about your personal life like this and sort of put this label on you, or would you rather people don't?
Yeah, that's okay for me. I'm happy. This is the more important. Love is love, and that's why I open to help people see. If you don't need to care about nobody, care about yourself, and you show people you're happy, and everything is gonna change. But if you hide your happiness, you're never gonna be happy, real happy. You have to open and then let it go. The life is beautiful. You have to live your life. I think if I help at least one person to be strong to go through this, I'm happy.
Wow. That is a beautiful thing. Congratulations to you, Amanda. Very happy for you. What a performance. Enjoy the belt. Enjoy your time back home in Brazil. And thank you very much for coming on the show. I know you don't sometimes love to do media, so I really appreciate you coming on and talking to us today.
Thank you so much. Appreciate it.
Okay. Obrigado and parabéns to Amanda Nunes, the new UFC women's bantamweight champion. What I mean, those words, obviously her English isn't she's not fluent in English, I should say, but you can totally understand what she was saying there in her last answer, and pretty beautiful stuff, especially in this day and age. Really, really great stuff from Amanda Nunes. And certainly, I mean, when you think about what she did to Miesha Tate, and again, considering that Miesha Tate's best attribute is that she is virtually unbreakable in the sense that it is hard to finish this woman via strikes early in fights. She's tough. Amanda Nunes defeated her in around 3 minutes, the biggest stage possible. So it's going to be interesting to see where she goes from here, and there are a ton of options for her at this point. Obviously, if Ronda comes back, that's option number one. If Holly Holm looks great on Saturday night, that would be option number two. Juliana Pena, in my opinion, if option 1 and 2 aren't there, and you can even make a case for her to be above option number 2, Juliana Pena deserves to be in that discussion as well. So all of a sudden, a division that has felt shallow over the last couple of years is one of the more interesting ones, and hopefully that can trickle down to other divisions, because if you look at the light heavyweight division right now, it is shallow as heck. Wow. Outside of Rumble Johnson and Glover Teixeira, there aren't a lot of options there. So it's an interesting time in the women's 135-pound division. Okay, let us move along now. Bellator on Saturday had a fantastic show, I thought. A great lineup as far as the main card was concerned. Their debut event in London, they were at the O2. We talked a little bit earlier on about the injury to Cyborg Santos, and of course that is somewhat of a dark cloud hanging over the event. But if you look at the actual performances, Lima's win, great fight. Mitrione's win, great fight. MVP's performance, great fight. I mean, there were a lot of great performances on Saturday. A lot of the talk going into the card centered around a 19-year-old from Northern Ireland, the Strabanimal, they call him. Now, I'm being told his name is actually pronounced James Gallagher, not Gallagher, as I said earlier, so I apologize to him for this. But this is a man who was taken under John Kavanagh of SPG Ireland's wing when he was just 15 years old, when he signed with Bellator a few months back. It was very big news. In fact, I have a pretty funny story to share with him, but a lot of people, especially in Ireland, are excited about James Gallagher's future. He was successful in his Bellator debut on Saturday, and I'm excited to talk to him right now on the phone. James, how are you, my friend?
I'm good, Earl. How are you?
It is a pleasure to talk to you. So am I correct? Is it actually Gallagher, not Gallagher?
Yeah, that's correct.
All right. There we go. So I'm happy to get it right. So this is an interesting story, and I'm really excited to have you on. I know a lot of your fans are excited to hear from you as well. Congratulations on the win. Is it fair to say that you're actually pretty disappointed in your performance now that we're 48 hours later? I know what you said in the cage and what you said in interviews, but now that you've had 48 hours or so to digest the victory, are you still disappointed, or do you feel like there were enough positives to make this a successful night for you?
Thank you very much. I'm not happy with my performance. I want to finish my fight. You know what I mean? I've had and especially in my first three professional fights, I've had first round submission finishes, and I was coming after the same thing here, but I didn't get it, unfortunately. So I'm not happy that I got the finish, and I know it was a very different opponent. I've never really faced someone who didn't want to really engage in a fight, but that's not. People will use that as an excuse, but I should have cut him off and baited him into a fight if he didn't want to. I should have made him fight. So that's something to work on, and it's something to bring back to the gym and take. There's loads of positives to take away from it and stuff like this, but I'm not happy that I didn't get the finish, but I'm happy with myself and happy that I got the win, and it was an unreal experience to be on Bellator. You know what I mean? It's one of the biggest promotions in the world, and it's something I've always dreamed of since when I was a young kid, that when I started training, to be on one of the biggest promotions in the world, you know what I mean? So I'm delighted about all that, but I'm not happy that I didn't get the finish.
So I know that you were tweeting and saying before the fight, done and won. Obviously, that didn't happen. In hindsight, were you putting too much pressure on yourself, given the fact that this was your debut on such a big stage?
No, I didn't feel like that I was putting any pressure on myself. I think I perform better when I have like a lot of hype and a lot of so-called pressure on myself, as you could say. But I think it boosts me to go in there and perform better. Do you know what I mean? But it was just wasn't meant to be. I should have been capitalized on it more, and especially like on the ground instead of working for the choke and stuff. I felt like I should have softened them up more with shots and wore them down, rather than always just searching for the submission. That I should have opened them up with the elbows and stuff, and nearly almost, do you know what I mean, really have him in a bad way, and then choke him out. Do you know what I mean? Because he was definitely a tough guy, and he was very strong, like unusually strong.
Okay.
So he was, but that's the way it goes. I'm going to learn from him. I'm young. I'm only 19 years old, and I feel like that night I didn't perform at my full ability, but the good thing that I can take about that is when I show up to Bellator again and have another fight, hopefully it's soon, and I perform at my full ability, that I will shock a lot of people. So that's another positive to take from me.
So this is a very interesting thing. It is Monday, July 18th, right? July 2016. July 18th, 2014, I met you for the first time. Do you remember that?
Yeah, I remember that in the O2 in Dublin.
Yeah, exactly 2 years ago today. How crazy is that?
Yeah, that is weird. And I said I'd be on your show.
Yes, the night before,
That's nuts, isn't it?
we were in Dublin for the Conor McGregor Diego Brandao fight. I'm sitting, in the arena for the weigh-ins. I'm sitting next to a fine journalist out of Ireland named John Balfe, and you come up to me and say, I haven't begun my career yet, but I guarantee you that you'll be interviewing me soon. You'll be talking to me very soon. And that was on July 18, 2014. That's insane.
That is mad, isn't it? It is, but it shows you know what I mean? I wasn't too far wrong.
No. Okay, but now tell me this. Did you think that it would happen this quickly for you, that 2 years later you'd be fighting on a big stage like Bellator and on television worldwide? Did you honestly think it would happen this fast?
I thought it would be quicker.
What?
No, I'm only joking. Yeah, definitely. You know what I mean? I started like putting in the work and racking up the wins, and I definitely thought it would be around this time. Do you know what I mean? That something big would happen, and just to end up then, I really wasn't thinking about that. You know what I mean? Because I think if you try and rather than focus on just what's now rather than what's ahead, you know what I mean? You can get caught up a little on that and then miss out on what's happening now. So I try to think now just like what is happening in the moment rather than focusing too much on the future, because you can miss out on the moment if you do put all your focus on in the future. But it's nice the ability to just say that it would be soon, and it was soon after, and now here I am, do you know what I mean, on your show, like I said, and so this is unbelievable for me, do you know what I mean? I'm got goosebumps here just speaking to you on the phone, do you know what I mean? It's all a bit nuts, but I'm just rolling with it, enjoying it. I'm just young, just following my dream, doing something I love, so I'm just blown away by it all. I'm enjoying it all. I'm going to get back into the gym now soon once my body's healed up and put in that work, and hope to go again now soon. We're trying to get another fight lined up very soon.
What was it like for you as a 17-year-old, a part of SPG, but obviously you hadn't really begun your pro career, and you were in Dublin for that night, to see the team go undefeated, to see what happened, as the night, from Paddy all the way to Conor, and being a part of that team? What did that do for your confidence? Do you recall watching it and just, because I felt like I was on cloud nine. I had nothing to do with it. I can't imagine what it was like for a young team member like yourself. Do you recall the emotions that you were feeling?
Oh, yeah, it was unbelievable. Paddy Houlihan let me do his corner.
Oh, wow.
So it was his debut in the UFC, and I remember walking out and just thinking, like, what is going on here? Do you know what I mean? It was nuts. And then I walked out, and then Paddy put on an amazing performance, and I was nearly in tears in the corner. I was, like, just blown away by the crowd and everything. It was, like, a bit, like, overwhelming. Do you know what I mean? It was overwhelming. It was blown away, and it just motivated me so much to really see all my teammates are getting this and they're doing this. Do you know what I mean? So I'm going to do what they're doing and try and do more and get that as well. Do you know what I mean? So that's just what I've been doing since, and now here I am. Do you know what I mean? Bellator came, snatched me up, and unfortunately last Saturday night I didn't make the statement that I wanted, but I'm going to work hard and put everything I got into it. You know what I mean? I've dedicated my life to MMA since I was 15. I quit school.
Yeah.
John took me in, let me live with him, and I've dedicated my life to it, and I'm going to keep working until I achieve all my dreams.
John Kavanagh wasn't there in London with you because he's in Las Vegas with Conor preparing for that fight. What was that like for you, considering how important he is to you?
Yeah, it was definitely. John's very important to me. You know what I mean? He's a big figure in my life. Do you know what I mean? He's in all surrounds of life. But we've been here before. Do you know what I mean? And a couple of my other fights and during my amateur career and stuff. Do you know what I mean? So, and we know ourselves. Do you know what I mean? John's a busy man. He can't spread himself too thin. Do you know what I mean? He has to put his focus into one thing and one thing only. And it was what it was. You just have to accept these things and get on with it. But I had my teammate and very close friend of mine, Kiefer Crosby, with me, and we're the ultimate dream team. Do you know what I mean? And then when John's there, it's a big bonus.
Okay.
So it is, but it's thanks to Kiefer coming out and taking John's place as such, and he was the next best man for the job, and I feel like we're like a dream team. Do you know what I mean? It's a good pack.
Well, why did you leave school at age 15 to dedicate yourself to becoming a fighter?
I hated school. I wasn't never interested in school, and I never got on with the teachers because I was always just interested in training MMA and didn't want to do work, and I didn't do homework or anything, and I was always getting in trouble for that kind of thing. And I used to be in class watching videos, highlight videos of Gunnar Nelson on my phone, and the teachers would have been trying to get my phone off me and stuff because you weren't allowed phones in school and stuff. So I was just having a hard time with the teachers and stuff. And one day, I went into school and it was a half day, and the teacher gave me a load of work, and I was just back from training. I was training at 6:30 that morning, and went into school at 9, and the teacher gave me a load of work, and I was tired, and I was just I'm not doing this. And the teacher started giving out to me and going mad at me, and I just stood up and I was I'm done. I've had enough. I can't handle this anymore. I just want to train. And I got up and walked out and walked home, and my parents were like, "What are you doing back?" Do you know what I mean? School's not over. And I was just explained that I can't do this anymore and stuff, and they understood, and they've got my back and everything. My parents do, and they took my back in MMA, and they worked to be able to give me money to go and train in Dublin because I live 4 hours away from Dublin, so I had to get the bus up and stuff, and John let me live with him, and so my parents basically worked to be able to pay for my training and stuff. So now I'm on a big mission to repay them.
Wow, that is amazing. So they are fully supportive of your career. Were they in attendance on Saturday?
Yeah, of course. My father was in my corner,
Wow.
along with Kiefer, and my parents have got my back. You know what I mean? They're I wouldn't be here if it wasn't for them. They funded my training. They because I don't come from a wealthy family or anything. I just come from a small town called Strabane. I grew up in a place called Drive. It's called. It's a council housing estate, and my parents just worked hard to be able to get me to Dublin to train it and stuff. And I just convinced them that I would put in the work and make a career out of this for myself. And they were never really interested about me like making a career or anything. They were just really happy to see that I was happy doing something I loved, and that's all that mattered to them. But now I'm on a big mission to really retire my parents young.
Wow, that is amazing. What were your friends saying when you're 15 years old and you leave school to go live with some coach 4 hours away and start training in mixed martial arts? Were you viewed as some, like this crazy kid? Could your friends not really understand what you were doing, or were they supportive of you as well?
Yeah, most of them weren't. They were like, "You're strange," you know what I mean? Because when I was in school, I brought like a healthy lunch and eating healthy, and they were going out at the weekend drinking or whatever, and I just wasn't interested in that. And I was like, I'm going training this weekend. There's time off school, you know what I mean? I just trained all weekend and stuff. And then when I eventually left, they were still like, what are you doing? You know what I mean? No one just quits. Like, how are you going to do anything? You need a job. How are you going to get a job or whatever? And stuff like this. And then I just cut them kind of negative people out of my life, and I have a couple of friends that stuck with me and stuff, and they're still here. They come watch me fight and stuff like that. You know what I mean? So they're staying with me, and the other people are dropped a long time ago. Yeah.
Does it bother you when you're always being asked about Conor and compared to Conor? Is that annoying?
Being compared to like one of the greatest fighters of all time is a rather compliment. But yeah, people ask me in a stupid way, and it's just very stupid. You know what I mean? I don't see it at all, but people can ask some ridiculous questions, and you're just like, man, come on. Do you know what I mean? Like, you're meant to be a well-educated journalist, and you're asking me like a stupid question. You know what I mean? But I just got to deal with it. You know what I mean? Luckily, I can avoid them hard questions pretty easy. Do you know what I mean? I can slip them easier than I can slip punches, but I just have to keep on the ball, and that's that. You know what I mean?
Of course, I think you do a good job of avoiding some of those questions, or at least answering them in a polite way. Lennox Lewis was there, and I heard that he was front and center, actually cheering you on at the press conference. Did you have a chance to speak to the great Lennox Lewis of Canada, I might add? He sort of defected and went to England. But anyway, a great guy and a great fighter, a legend in his own right. Did you have a chance to talk to him?
Yeah, definitely. It was something else. You know what I mean? I remember I was sitting there before the press conference. Me and Michael Page were the first ones there, and we're just chitting, having a conversation. And then the next minute, I looked around and seen this giant coming through the door. And I was like, that's Lennox Lewis, you know what I mean? I was like, what the fuck's going on here? You know what I mean? He's like a legend of the game and of boxing and stuff, and I was taken back by it, you know what I mean? I was like, wow, like this is surreal. And then he sat down, had a little bit of food, and we rolled out to the press conference. And then when I gave my introduction, he stood up, and I was the only fighter, I believe, that he stood up and gave a big cheer to, and
wow,
I got goosebumps, you know what I mean? And it's like, I'm just young, following my dreams, nothing more, nothing less, and I'm getting this kind of attention from one of the greatest of all time. You know what I mean? That's just blew me away. That's the kind of stuff no one can ever take away from me. Do you know what I mean?
Sure.
It's very humbling, and it's such like an honor to have that kind of thing happen to me. Do you know what I mean? It's surreal.
Now, around 11 months or so ago, you went to Bahrain to sort of be a part of this KHK team. And I'm wondering, A, what that means for you now. Like, are you still a part of that team? And B, what it was like for a guy who had yet to make his pro debut to be sort of plucked from the crowd and say, okay, you're going to go to Bahrain and train with these important people. We're sort of pinpointing you as the future of this sport. What was that like?
Yeah, that was a wonderful experience. Thanks to KHK and Sheikh Khalid for involving me. I'm still a big part of KHK and proud to be. It's just a great thing, you know what I mean, that someone can help promote MMA, you know what I mean, in a country where MMA is not that big and is doing positive things for the sport. Do you know what I mean? So that, and to them to come to me and help be an ambassador to try and promote something in a country where something's not that big that's a pretty big thing. Do you know what I mean? Especially coming from the Sheikh, and that blew me away at the start. You know what I mean? I was only 18 years old, and I came back from Vegas after competing in the IMMAF World Championships, and John was like, "You're going to Bahrain. The Sheikh of Bahrain wants you to come over," and Sheikh Khalid, and I was just blown away and went over and had an amazing time there and met some amazing people, and I'm very happy to be a part of KHK.
Okay, so you are still a part of them.
Yeah, of course.
Okay.
Yeah.
And here's the big question. You predicted that you were going to go 3-0 on Saturday. I know about the 1, but what about 2 and 3?
I predicted. Say that again.
You predicted that you were going to go 3-0 on Saturday, correct?
No. Well, they're going 4-0.
Oh, you went 4-0?
Yeah.
Oh, wow. I didn't know. You didn't predict the 4-0, so you actually got one that you weren't expecting.
What do you? No, but I'm.
No,
3 fights.
you took a picture with the ring girls and said that you're going to get 3 victories on Saturday, right?
Yeah, I went 3-0 that night, of course.
It was a successful night for you all around?
It was a very successful night all around.
Well done, James.
So I was actually, this is a funny thing, a few weeks ago I was like speaking to my brother. He was away on holidays, and I was like, oh, so like, did you get any girls or anything? And he was like, nah. And I was like, do you want a good tip on how to get girls? And he was like, what? And I was like, it's signed to Bellator.
Wow. So life has changed for you, even before your first fight for them.
Sorry?
Life has changed for you even before you ever stepped foot in the Bellator cage.
Yeah.
Wow.
It's crazy here. Like, actually, like, tonight, like, there was like kids coming up to my door and like asking me to sign like pictures and stuff. You know what I mean? Just where I come from, and I'm like walking down the street, like people stop me for pictures and just little kids where I live. You know what I mean? Like just seeing me is something to look up to, and that's something I take great pride in, to be able to help people come up. You know what I mean? Because where I come from, there's not much, and if I can help anything, you know what I mean, help anyone, inspire people along, that means so much to me.
Wow, that must be surreal for someone of your age. I'm guessing your friends who thought you were a little crazy for leaving when you were 15 don't really think that anymore.
No, exactly. You know what I mean? That's the thing. When people, especially where I come from, people, when someone has a vision, people get critiqued for it and salated and be like, "What are you doing?" You know what I mean? Like, you're stupid doing that. Rather than when someone has a crazy vision, they don't be like, "You know what? Go for it. Don't pit everything you got. Go for it and give it your damnedest. And if it doesn't work, at least you tried." You know what I mean? But people around here don't have that kind of attitude. But luckily, I did, and my parents did, and a few people that I was surrounded by had that same dream and pushed me positive. You know what I mean? To really go and achieve my dreams. You know what I mean? Even though it's probably a crazy thing to do.
Yeah.
But
that's all you need.
Worked out.
Yeah, that's all you need.
You know what I mean? It shows, but if you're going to do something, you have to go 100%. You can't go half-hearted and be like, "I hope this works." You know what I mean? I was never thinking, "Oh, hope I get into a big show and start earning good money." Do you know what I mean? I had the attitude that I am going to get into a big show, and I'm going to get all that, and I'm going to become one of the greatest fighters in the world. You know what I mean? And I have that vision now, and I'm going to put in the work, and I'm going to give it everything I've got to become one of the greatest fighters of all time.
Well, I know already that you are a visionary because you predicted exactly 2 years ago today that we'd be talking. You didn't predict that it would be exactly 2 years to the date, but close enough. That is amazing.
Yeah.
That actually occurred to me this morning. People were saying John Balfe, the journalist that I was sitting next to that day, reminded me on Friday before your fight that you were the young fighter who came up to me. And then this morning I was thinking, wait a second, that Dublin show was July 19th. That means I met him July 18th. That's today. 2 years ago.
Wow.
Just blew my mind. Just really blew my mind.
That is, isn't it? That's blowing my mind. I'm just chilling here trying to get a calm down from, do you know what I mean? Just taking it all in and now speaking on the phone to you and hearing that and stuff, do you know what I mean? So I'm literally thinking here, like, imagine what's going to be like in another 2 years.
Yeah.
Do you know what I mean? Just someone who I just had, like, I had like 10 amateur fights then, but I had to take a rest because John wouldn't let me fight until I was 17 again. And I think I was just coming up to my first fight under John at that time, and do you know what I mean? So coming from amateur to now fighting on one of the biggest stages in the world in 2 years and being only 19, and I'm hungrier than ever for it, do you know what I mean? So just imagine what it's going to be like in another 2 years.
Can't imagine, but I wish you the best, my man. Last quick question for you. So do you have any idea when you'll be back? Against who? What can you tell us about the next one?
I have no confirmation on anything, but I'm aiming for September, I hope to be on it in September. I hope that works out, but I haven't got any confirmation on anything, or no contracts, no opponents or anything yet, but we're only 2 days after my first fight, you know what I mean? So I'm going to let things settle in, and I'm on an adrenaline dump here, so it's pretty crazy, but my phone and stuff just blowing up, so I'm going to head away for 5 days now, somewhere sunny, and turn my phone off, chill for a bit, and then come back refreshed and ready to go again.
Well, I wish you the best, James. Congratulations.
Thank you so much, Cheryl.
Yeah, my pleasure.
To be on your show.
Thank you. I appreciate that very much. Congrats on the win. Don't be so hard on yourself. Great performance. I'm looking forward to watching you grow in Bellator and seeing what's next for you. Really a pleasure to have you on the show, and good calling your shot 2 years ago. It's really cool to see it all come together for you. So congratulations again, and all the best to you.
Thank you so much, Harold. Hopefully we'll be speaking again soon.
Absolutely. I look forward to that. There he is, James Gallagher.
Thank you very much. It's an honor.
Same here. They're one of the newest members of the featherweight division in Bellator. Won his debut, like I said, the Strabanimal, they call him. A good young lad who is doing big things over there, and a very smart signing, in my opinion, by Bellator to get in on the ground floor. That has been part of their MO. And going back to what Campbell McLaren said, you know, the idea of Bellator being the retirement home, and they have made some questionable decisions. There's no doubt about that. Ones that I have questioned, ones that I did not like. But slowly but surely, you're starting to get a better vision for what they want to do. And I thought the Bellator 158 main card was one of their better ones. I think the matchmaking's getting a little better. I think the Benson Henderson versus Patricio Pitbull fight in August is an interesting fight, and of course, playing off the potential feud between Pitbull and current champion Michael Chandler is smart, and of course Benson going down to 155 is the smart call as well. I think them being in talks with Rory is smart. So slowly but surely, I've always said that we need to give them a couple years. That doesn't mean calling them out when they make questionable calls, because no one is exempt from that. And I'm happy to hear that they are helping Chris Cyborg, you know, by any means necessary, because he certainly deserves it. I should say Evangelista Cyborg. That is just, I mean, it is hard. And I really do. Let me just finish my point on Bellator. You can see that, you know, they're starting to get the younger guys, the Ed Ruths of the world, the wrestlers, Aaron Pico, and James Gallagher is a smart guy with a fan base from Europe. It's a good move by them. Just to expand on what I was saying to Marc Raimondi at the top of the show, there are moments where you just kind of think to yourself, I mean, this is a brutal sport. I know that. And it's sometimes a tough sport to defend. I was talking to, I was at my son's friend's house yesterday, and the mom's mother-in-law, I hope you are following, was there. And she asked me what I did for a living. And I said to her, I'm a mixed martial arts journalist and I work on a website, and she could not wrap her head around this idea that someone covers this sport full time, let alone online. Now, this is someone who's in their 70s. This whole thing is brand new. The sport is new. Working on the internet is new. But when you experience something like seeing Evangelista Cyborg's injuries, the Brock Lesnar story, the John Jones story, and all the other ups and downs that we've experienced in this sport alone this year, there are times when you think to yourself, like, what is going on? I mean, just the injuries. And I truly believe that we've dodged some major tragedies from poor weight cutting, injuries, things of that nature. And I really, truly hope that, it stays at just that. Now, you can make the case that a fractured skull is tragic and horrific, and it is. I hope we don't see worse. I really don't. So sometimes you just feel uneasy about it. And I don't really know how to verbalize how I'm feeling, but my heart really goes out to Cyborg and his family, and I really hope that he can recover from this, and maybe that's the end. Great fighter, always brought it, but God, it actually hurts me talking about it. Like the feeling that I get right here, thinking about that injury is very painful. And again, I don't think that MVP deserves 1 ounce of criticism. He was doing what he had to do to win an MMA fight. He's always acted that way. If that was a new thing, if he punched him after the fact, after the knee landed, then you could criticize him, but he's always been that kind of guy. He's always celebrated that way. That's been his thing. Now, if you don't like that from the get-go, fine, but you can't criticize him for that one celebration because of the fact that Cyborg suffered this injury. That celebration was very smart because it got him all over the place. It was like one of the top trending things on Twitter all day Saturday and part of the day Sunday. That video has well over 1 million views from the Bellator account alone. And it's just because he was playing off the whole Pokemon thing, which I can't understand. I don't get it. I finally caved in. I said, everyone's playing. I saw this video of people going to Central Park and jumping out of their car to try to find these Pokemons. And then I said, you know what? Maybe I saw people outside where I live doing it. I said, okay, let me just see. I feel like I should know what's going on, what the heck this game is. And it won't even let me download it. It won't let me play. One person who I am certain has been playing this game all weekend long is New York Rick. Am I right or am I wrong?
You are correct.
I knew it. And I didn't even ask you.
And I knew that you wouldn't be able to play it because you are not a Pokemon master like me.
Okay. First of all, are you really able to play it? Because I tried downloading it Saturday morning, and it just won't let me sign in.
So you downloaded it during the time where it was being hacked, and all the servers were down. So you picked the worst time to experiment. It actually is working, functioning, everything's okay, but the time that you chose was actually when it was down.
And it's still down. I mean, I checked another time. By the way, there's a bit of an echo. If we can eliminate the speaker, but okay, maybe it's getting a bit better.
I think it was a set of headphones. Anyway.
Okay. So what the hell is this?
So did you ever? Well, first of all, let's start with: did you ever play the Nintendo? Did you ever play the Pokemon?
No.
Well, so then you won't get it. It's like
But explain to me.
there's a nostalgia factor.
I get that. Wait, so has Pokemon been dead for the last decade?
I mean, for all intents and purposes, in the mainstream, it's been dead.
So Pokemon's dead, and then all of a sudden they come out with this app, and everyone freaks out.
Yes, because what it allows you to do is previously you were playing as a Pokemon trainer who's catching Pokemon. Fair enough. You're playing a video game. You're playing as somebody who's doing these activities. Now, it's been brought into the real world. I'm the trainer. I'm catching the Pokemon in the real world. It's incredible.
Pokemon are bad things?
No, they're fighting creatures.
Why are you trying to capture them?
So that you could... Actually, it sounds kind of bad now that I'm verbalizing it. You're capturing them so you can train them to fight against each other.
So
it's kind of like dog fighting.
Okay, so let me ask you this. Okay, so there was that video of Miracle Crow Cop. Miracle Crow Cop walking around the airport on his way, we come to find out later, to Japan to announce that Miracle Crow Cop is back and fighting in this open weight tournament for Ryzen. So he's walking around trying to find these things. Let me ask you this. If I'm standing there next to him trying to find these things as well, like, are there could there be a Pokemon here, or is everyone's phone bringing up different Pokemon?
There is not a limited number. So you will both see the same Pokemon. And you'll both be able to catch it.
Wait, so you're answering my question. So basically, there could be Pokemon here that it's not just my game and that's unique to me.
No.
they have somehow wired this entire planet to have these Pokemons in these.
Correct.
That is
it's
so
based
bizarre.
on a map of the entire.
You're kidding. That is
globe.
insane.
And now you will see the same ones because I.
But if he catches it, it's gone, right?
No.
Oh.
Because if that was the scenario, people would actually kill each other.
That is true.
If you were the only one who could catch that and I was standing next to you, we would fight to find out who really catches it.
Yeah. Did you see that video of people at Central Park? What is that all about?
Now, I'm playing this,
Is
but
it
I'm
true
not
people
playing
have,
it like that.
Have people fallen off cliffs and stuff?
I've heard that.
Why is someone playing this while they're next to a cliff?
It is, I have to tell you, it's very simple, very captivating. Like, you feel like you're spending only a few minutes doing it, but then it turns into I'm spending a few minutes here, I'm spending a few minutes here, and it has gotten away.
Sam Gosnell on Twitter notes, elderly woman doesn't get MMA journalist doesn't get Pokemon. I guess that's true.
It's fair.
I'm not putting it down. I just don't really get it. I don't understand.
You're missing the nostalgia for it. That's
Fair
what
enough.
it is.
Fair enough.
But Michael Venom Page's celebration was incredible.
Yes. Did you know right away what it was?
Oh, of course.
It was interesting that the announcers had no idea what he was doing.
I mean, that says it.
Yeah, well, they're a little.
There's a generational gap.
I wouldn't have known. Also, but then like when he did the thing with the peace sign, he actually kind of looked like the character, right?
He did a great job.
What's the character's name?
Ash.
So all you guys were like, oh, you were texting all your friends. You loved it.
I don't know about that, but
Yeah.
I did enjoy it. I rather liked it. And it's, I mean, who's smarter than him? Who's a better self-promoter than Michael Venom Page?
He's amazing.
He's a I mean, when he came in studio, he mentioned a team. So I have to, if that's truly the case, we have to give credit to everybody. Well, he talks about how, it's not just him coming up with the ideas. He has a team that he spitballs with and all that type of stuff.
Yeah.
So if it's not just him, give them credit as well. But either way, whoever is behind it, Michael and his team or whatever, they are brilliant. Capitalizing on this trend, that was much. I mean, I saw that much more than I saw the knockout in terms of online buzz. Now, since the pictures from Cyborg have come out, I've seen more of that being prominently featured. But after the fact, it was much more about him playing Pokemon than anything about the knockout.
And also, you understand where I'm coming from regarding the injury, right? Did I verbalize that correctly? Like
I did.
You just look. You have mixed emotions, right?
We are in a sport where the objective is to, for all intents and purposes, hurt somebody until they cannot continue. That's the simplest way to describe what the objective of the sport is. In this case, the injury was more significant than one we're used to seeing. It's going to happen. It's happened before. It's going to continue to happen. What we just hope is that they're few and far between, and that obviously no blame is in the corner of Michael Venom Page. He was doing what he had to do. He was in a cage fight that Cyborg agreed to get into. There's no blame to be given out here. It's just an unfortunate situation, and it certainly makes us all feel uncomfortable. I had a difficulty looking at those pictures and thinking, what are we doing? And at the same time, it really is something that doesn't occur every day. We have to accept that reality, though.
Yeah. How about Cyborg sending selfies, smiling to Guilherme Cruz? That guy's something else. A little bit of breaking news. UFC announcing that on this September 17th card in Hidalgo, Texas, the hotbed that is Hidalgo, Texas, Dustin Poirier will meet Michael Johnson in the 5-round main event. Also, Derek Brunson versus Uriah Hall in, I guess, doesn't say co-main, whatever. It doesn't really matter at that point. And a couple other fights, I think, were announced for that card as well.
Those are two scraps right there.
You know what's interesting? There's a UFC on Fox event August 27th in Vancouver, British Columbia. Tickets go on sale this week. There's no main event for that. And they just announced one for a card that's 3 cards later. Very strange. There's Anthony Pettis versus Charles Oliveira. There's Paige Van Zandt versus Beck Rawlings. But those tickets go on sale this week, and there's still no main event for it. Do you get the sense that the Fox events, I don't really know how to best describe them, but you can make a very strong case that the Fight Pass events, look, the Fox deal is already bought and paid for. They don't make extra money on those cards outside of ticket sales and whatnot. They make extra money on pay-per-view, extra money on Fight Pass, because those are subscription-based. Those are, pay-per-view. You order them on your phone. The Fox events are already bought and paid for. So I'm starting to feel like there's less of an incentive to load the deck on those. I mean, you look at the last 3 Fox events this year. The one in Newark was headlined by Rumble Johnson versus Ryan Bader. Go down the line on that card. Relatively weak. The one in April was marred by the injury to Khabib Nurmagomedov, and then the Machida thing happened, but also relatively weak. And in this one, you've got the 2 big fights, but then after that, there's a big drop-off in talent. And then you compare that to just this Fight Pass card that we had with RDA and Eddie Alvarez title fight on there. I don't know. Have you noticed that the allure of the Fox event? Now we're approaching the 20th one. It just doesn't really. It feels like it's just another event. It just so happens to be on Fox.
It does, but I think that there is obviously incentive. Sure, you're right that putting things on your own property where there's not a partner involved is better for building your own brand, and that's why there's such a focus on Fight Pass at the moment. But it definitely helps to get those eyeballs on some of the guys you want featured on Fox.
Good point, though. There has never been in this 4-year history any correlation between fighting on Fox in a big fight and then becoming a pay-per-view draw.
Correct.
Look at Demetrius Johnson and many others. No one has really been able to
had that moniker for a long time.
No, first it just I don't know if it's worked out the way they thought it would.
Maybe not something that can be measured or any kind of correlation or even causation. But I think that I'm not. I guess I would compare it to like in basketball when you're talking about statistical analysis versus the eye test. I think the eye test is Fox. It is still the big name. It is still where you want to put guys that you want to feature for down the line that maybe aren't pay-per-view draws. I think the focus, the excitement, the focus, all that stuff has obviously waned. You're absolutely right about that. But I don't think that it's a case where it will be just overlooked completely. I think it's still a valuable platform.
I do agree with putting Holly on that platform. I think that it's a great way to capitalize on her recent success. Let me ask you this. Holly wins on Saturday. Ronda not ready to return.
Yep.
Although it seems like there's something brewing here with the Reebok commercial, and she had some sort of chat last week that gained some steam. Let's just say Ronda's not quite ready to return. Holly, Juliana Pena, who do you go for the next title shot? And throw out another one in case you feel like there's someone else that deserves it.
I think. Now, when you say, I have to ask this, when you say who do you go with, do you mean if I'm UFC?
Yeah.
Me?
No. If you're UFC. If you're you do?
Sure.
Yeah.
Her star was made, after that Ronda Rousey fight. You put her back in there and you give her a shot against a new opponent. And now, who do I think from a competitive standpoint? From what if I was doing it, I would put Pena in there because Holmes should have to work her way back up more than one fight. But
I don't agree with that because I think Holmes deserved the immediate title rematch.
But that's not the case anymore. That's the different scenario now.
Yeah.
Either way, I think Holmes is the one who will get it and is the answer.
You think so?
Yeah.
I wonder. I wonder if this fight goes the distance. I think she is. I mean, look at who she's beaten.
No, not from that standpoint. That's as I was saying. I think she's the one who should get it. But is she there as a name, as somebody that you could put into that fight? And look, because remember,
if Holmes goes the distance, I say they don't give it to her. I say they say, it wasn't all exciting. I think it depends on how she wins.
Remember that Amanda Nunes is not a household name for people. So putting her in there with Pena is not a good recipe if you're trying to build that title picture up. I think Holmes brings the cachet and brings the name value that you'd want in that fight.
All right. Let's answer some questions. We're going to be joined by Lando Vannata, the star of Sioux Falls.
Lando's coach, Brandon Gibson, thanked us for our education on Pokemon via Twitter.
Well, they all, they got to catch them all, as they say.
Got to catch them all. I'm on the hunt. Okay. Drug cheats and punishments. Essentially, it's clear that cheaters are motivated, no matter the repercussions. Hunt had a request that he wanted more pay on behalf of Brock Lesnar failing some kind of test. What should be the punishment? And now this person is proposing a suspension plus the win money because Brock Lesnar tested
Yeah.
positive, and one should go to the opponent, every penny, and then they should get a loss. Is that too harsh? Is there a middle ground? What should happen essentially in this situation? Because there isn't a repercussion from the monetary side yet.
Well, there is. Here's my big takeaway, though. The real question that we should be asking, the real thing that we should be talking about is, why is someone getting tested before a fight and the results are coming out after the fight? That makes no sense. That, to me, seems counterproductive. Why are you even going through the trouble of randomly testing someone before a fight if the results are only going to come out after the fight? The point of random testing, in my opinion, is to catch someone who may be potentially cheating before he steps foot in the octagon or cage, to avoid any kind of injury and to not give someone the opportunity to fight if they're gaining an advantage over their opponent. If you're going to come out with the results after the fact, then what the hell was the point of the whole thing?
Oh, is that? I mean, I feel like you're cutting off your nose to spite your face here.
What do you mean?
Because if it was not feasible or possible to have the results before the fight, there's still a value to having this test.
There is a value, obviously, but you don't agree with the fact that if we're going to be engaged in this relationship with USADA, if we're testing guys on the upcoming UFC 202 card, we need to make sure that all the random drug testing that is taking place for that card is coming out before the card. It is a bad look on the sport, and it is a bad look when a guy is fighting, especially one with the kind of power that Brock Lesnar possesses, and then it comes out after the fact that he may have been potentially cheating. Now, again, we don't want to accuse him of anything. Sure. He still has his say, due process, all that stuff, but you can't come out with it after the fact. Again, this thing is evolving, and I hope that they rectify that. I hope they realize that it just doesn't make any sense. It's one thing to come out with it after the fact when there's a race. It's another thing to come out with it after the fact when there's a cage fight and guys are getting punched in the face.
I could not agree with you more on that point, but what I'm saying is, logistically, that may not be feasible, and I think testing should still be done, regardless of that.
No. Of course it should be done. I'm not saying stop doing it. 1,000%. Look, if this is the only option, this is the only option.
That's
but
my
I believe it's feasible because there's a lot of money invested in this USADA deal. There's a lot of money going from the UFC to USADA. I feel like it behooves them to figure out a way. Okay, all the guys. It may be completely anonymous, but we know who are the guys being tested for this card. I mean, there has to be some system in play. I feel like they have to figure that out.
Let's look at an example that's more extreme than Brock. Let's say it's somebody filling in on 2 days, a week's notice, and they get tested and the results come out after. There's going to be situations where we can't avoid this.
Going to be situations. The only time that I think that the test should come out after is if you're being tested that night, and that is still happening. Now we know that you got to be pretty dumb at this point to be failing the fight night test. It still happens, but you know that one is coming. Mm-hmm. You know that one is coming.
Test, as
exactly.
They say.
So that one obviously is going to come out after the fact because it's happening the night of the fight. But a test that happened on June 28th is coming out on July 14th. What was it? No, 15th. June 28th. That's 17 days later.
Yeah.
Come on. That doesn't make any sense. So you can understand why Mark Hunt is livid right now.
Now, is there what should the repercussion be? Because as far as I know, he doesn't get compensated for the loss. Mark Hunt doesn't. Is there?
Well, he's asking to be.
He's asking to be. Do you feel that that's fair? Do you feel that he should be? It's a very difficult situation because he lost. It'd be.
It's not something that I feel like I can just sit here and be like, okay, take 50% of his purse. You know what I mean?
But I feel like there has to be some kind of justice.
There is. No, but there is. I think it is in the 50 to 70 range, but it's up to their discretion. I have to look into that more. But there is definitely a monetary punishment involved, 1,000%. It's not just a 2-year deal or whatever it is. There's definitely money coming out of the pocket.
But it doesn't go to Hunt? Does it? No. It goes to the...
To USADA?
No, to the commission, no?
No, this has nothing to do with the commission.
Oh, you're saying there's a punishment...
Yeah.
Not from the athletic commission, but from USADA themselves.
Yeah. I'm not talking about the athletic commission right now. I'm talking only USADA right now. Of course, USADA is the one who administered the test. If USADA didn't do the test... Now, Nevada's different because they're one of the few commissions that's doing their own random drug testing. But if we're in Hidalgo, Texas, and someone fails... the Texas Commission ain't doing, pre-fight drug testing at a competition 4 weeks before. I'll look through this. I know it's there. I just don't want to pass along the wrong number.
Sure.
But what Hunt is bringing up is interesting. He's saying, look, this guy went in there and won and was potentially, now he's not going to get it now because there's still that due process, the B sample, et cetera, et cetera. But he does bring up a very good point that no one really brought up before. Like, look, I should be getting this money now. That's the least you can do. The punches aren't going away, and that's the tragic part. That's the part that people overlook. The punches the damage that was inflicted upon him will never go away. And who knows what it did? We'll never know.
Sure. Do you believe on a whole that the UFC regrets, partnering
really.
with USADA?
Oh, I thought you were going to talk. Okay. So a lot of people are reaching out to me about this. Oh, Brock Lesnar. To me, the first takeaway was the one that I mentioned about just moments ago about, it coming out, doing the test early
Sure.
and it coming out. The second one was Frank Fertitta, Zuffa are bigger visionaries than we all thought. They're getting out at the right time. We talked about this last week. And maybe the USADA deal makes even more sense now. I mean, think about it. Partnering with an independent body who is going to essentially try to mess up your plans constantly. You know what I mean? There's nothing good. And they used to talk about how the media was obsessed with this stuff and we were just harping on Vitor Belfort and all that. Who wants to be in business with someone whose sole mission is to essentially screw up your plans? Now, of course, USADA isn't trying to screw up their plans, but that's what keeps happening.
Right.
Machida getting pulled, John Jones getting pulled, Brock Lesnar's out, Yoel Romero's out. I mean, all these guys, and it's going to continue to happen. And so, yeah, it's a great PR move. It's a good move, but it's a good problem for someone else to deal with, not you.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? And that's why I'm like, man, these guys, they got out at the perfect time, because imagine we're going to New York and something happens there 2 days before and there's more people. I mean, who needs this headache? The UFC was purchased in 2000 when it was the Wild West, when very few commissions were on board, very few territories worldwide were on board. And slowly but surely, they did a fantastic job of running towards legislation, running towards, the commissions accepting them and overseeing them and all this stuff. And then we had all these other steps with the TV deal and with USADA now and Reebok, blah, 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 blah. But back then, they could do whatever they want. It was their show. There was no talk of Ali Act. There was no talk of class action lawsuits. There was no talk of unions. There was no talk of USADA. There was no talk of any of this stuff. It was their show. They were the only game in town. And that's why when I hear someone like Campbell McLaren say, what's the point of Bellator? I get that you're involved in a sort of competition with them. Although, let's be honest, Bellator is over here. Combate is over there. That's just, they've been around longer. Of course, there's a reason for Bellator. That's why I thought it was a rhetorical question. You get what I'm saying?
I do, absolutely. Let's address this specifically. Go back to that moment where the UFC decides to partner with USADA, or at least announces, let's say, the very final hour. Do they do it again? Knowing what they know now, seeing how it's played out.
They do it again because they were planning on selling it back then, in my opinion.
And you
this
think
is
it
not
was
something,
necessary?
They didn't wake up overnight and say, we're going to do this. Is someone buying them for $4 billion with or without USADA? I don't know. But I feel like it's been a nice bit of PR. It's something that they could say we have the strictest drug testing program in all of sports, and they are right.
Yep.
And then let's let someone else deal with this problem.
Fair enough.
I don't think they want to deal with it on their own, on a daily basis. It is a nightmare to run this sport. Dana White always says, first thing he knows when he wakes up, there's going to be problems, fires to put out. That was before USADA. Can you imagine what it's like now?
Yeah, 5 press conferences a day is what it's like now. Okay. UFC 200's pay-per-view buy rate. Any latest on that? Do we know anything further?
I believe Dave Meltzer reported last week that it was in the low millions. I had someone call me up and tell me a number. I don't know if I could believe it. It's
High
one source.
or low?
This is not my wheelhouse. I don't have sources in that world, so I don't know what the motives are. So I'm going to stick to Dave on this one. I will say though, I was surprised at the number. I will say that. I will also say that, if it was Meltzer's number, kind of what I expected, right? I mean,
yeah.
I don't think, look, it's very hard in 2016 with the amount of shows that the UFC puts on to put on the mega show and to make it feel special like UFC 100 did. It's just a different era. And I give them a lot of credit, but man, UFC 200 could not disappear quick enough, I feel like, for the UFC. It's just been one headache after the next. And that's what happens when you try to stack the deck. And I believe 202 is going to dwarf it. I really do. I think it's going to beat it. Whatever number it is, I still think 202 is going to beat it.
Listen to Helwani and never put 3 title fights on a card.
Yes, that's the other thing. I'm happy you mentioned that.
Cyborg, this person, and I've seen this before. That's the reason I put this one out. Should essentially knees to the head in MMA be banned?
No.
Do you think that there should be
especially
anything
not especially
be
not
banned?
standing? Yeah, should there? Yeah, soccer kicks.
See, I'm on the other side. I think that nothing should be banned. No,
Jesus.
Let me
nuts?
no. Let me walk
eye
that
gouging,
back.
fish
No,
hooking.
not eye gouging. Essentially, all the rules that we currently have, except soccer kicks and knees to and kicks to grounded opponents, should be allowed.
Ugh.
I just feel like
Let me tell you something.
If we're
If
engaging,
the unified rules of MMA accept soccer kicks, I'm out.
really,
I'm out.
really,
Yeah, and don't come to me with your stats or your tweets or whatever. I'm out. I just can't. I can't. First of all, it's called soccer kick. I mean, there's not even a technical name for it, for God's sakes. It's called freaking soccer kicks. It is barbaric. Come on. There's a guy lying on the ground. More often than not, he's pretty hurt, and we're just going to field goal his head into the next.
I mean, you can kick him in the ribs.
No, but the head is usually where they're going. Now, okay. Now you bring up a good point. Soccer kicks to everywhere but the head is interesting to me. Now I'm starting to open up a little bit. Soccer kick to the head, downed opponent is a bad look. Too dangerous, too gruesome. I don't want to watch it. But I'm open to your suggestion about...
No, that's legal already.
Yeah.
I can kick anybody wherever I want as long as it's not the head.
No, but I'm saying because we're talking about banning everything. I'm okay with the ban.
You're okay with that?
Yes, I'm fine with it. I can live with it. But soccer kick to the head? No.
Is this a bit of a knee jerk and no pun intended?
No,
because
I've said this all the time.
No, not you. But every time there's some kind of brutal kind of strike, we have this. Should this be banned? You know, there was a while where it was 12 to 6 elbows. Do we essentially overreact every time something like this happens, or do you feel like this is necessary and kind of keeps things in perspective about how dangerous this sport truly is?
One second. I just want to respond to something. Someone on Twitter just said, Ariel Helwani implied that the Fertittas may have purposefully signed the USADA deal to sabotage the next owners. That is not even close to what I implied. I implied that they said they want to clean up the sport. It makes the sport look good. It makes the sport look more professional. It makes it look nicer. But they were not trying to screw the new owners. Get out with that crap. That's not what I was implying at all. How could they even possibly plan that? That's BS. Don't go with that.
Yeah,
Okay.
that's
anyway.
silly. Maybe we lost the thread on this a little bit.
Yeah,
let's just
enough
move
with
on.
the knees.
Okay. Bellator tape delay. Did they drop the ball?
Yes.
People in the UK weren't
Yes.
even watching it live.
It's 2016 with the internet, with Pokemon Go, with Twitter, with Facebook, with all this nonsense. How are you not live? And oh, by the way, they were tweeting the freaking videos of the finishes. I saw the MVP finish on my phone.
Yeah.
They were sending emails out with the results. Like, if you're going to go with the tape delay thing, you need to hide that bad boy, you know, all the results, everything. You need to pretend as much as you can that this is happening live when it's airing. Spike has been doing this since day one. I don't, since they were airing UFC. I don't get it. Air it from 1 to 4 and then replay it if you want. I don't know, but it doesn't. To me, in 2016, you should not be, especially sports, which has proven to be the one television show that fans, viewers like to watch live. You got to stick with it live.
Yeah.
You got to.
Everything else is on demand, is on Netflix, but live sports, it's got to be.
It's got to be live. Such a bummer.
Was this show, and based on your thoughts earlier, it sounds like it was this show a success for Bellator? Do you think they'll come back to the UK?
Well, I don't know if it was a financial success. A lot of people were tweeting me that they actually got bumped down because they were trying to fill up the arena. People were being upgraded. Their seats were being upgraded. So I don't know if it was a financial success. I'm sure Kimbo not being a part of the card hurt them. And Michael Venom Page is a rising star. I don't know if he's a household name just yet in a massive draw like a Bisping is. That's the same arena that Bisping and Anderson Silva fought in. Mm-hmm. It's a very big arena. So I was surprised when they even went to that arena. So I don't know if they'll be back. I suspect that part of the reason why they're back is because they have a very good TV deal in England. And, you know, the TV companies, they like to have the entity come and have a local show because it's important for advertisers and just for building the market from the ground up. So I wouldn't be surprised if they're back, but I can't really speak to whether or not it was a financial success. I was surprised that they were forced to upgrade people And I mean, I'm sure you're kind of bummed out if that happens, because imagine you paid a lot of money for a ticket and then all of a sudden, Joe Bloke from the upper deck is coming to sit right next to you and he paid 30 quid.
Sure.
Right? Talk about a Brexit, huh? Brexit.
Yes, but
Yes.
at least the card itself, you thought that was a strong card, good performances.
Yes.
Let's talk.
I thought the main card was a very solid one. Look, it was one of those main cards where it felt like, okay, this is Bellator. This is what we want Bellator to be. This is what it should be. Lima, Daly, great main event, I thought, and it delivered. It was very entertaining. Young stud like James Gallagher with his story. Michael Venom Page against a cyborg. And I saw some people after the fact criticizing that matchmaking. I thought that was pretty damn good matchmaking. I mean, given what they had to play with, a big step up, a veteran guy who has a lot more fights, tough to beat. I mean, that felt like a nice little move up for Michael Venom Page. Matt Mitrione fighting Ollie Thompson. That ended up being an entertaining affair. Francis Carmon getting a nice finish. He hasn't been known to do that. I mean, all in all, if you sat down and watched those 5 main cards, and I know they sprinkled in some other nice finishes there, hard to complain with that.
Rory McDonald?
Yes.
What do you think would be the best move for him if he leaves the UFC? Let's
I
assume
think the best move for him is to get paid as much as he can and to get as much money as he can, regardless of who it's from. At this point, Rory McDonald just became a father, by the way. Mazel tov to him.
Congrats, Rory.
If it's ONE FC, if it's Bellator, if it's UFC, if it's, I don't know, Combate Americas, GDP, as King Mo would say, right? I mean, that's really it. It's clear to me that Rory McDonald is a different kind of cat. I don't think at this point he cares if he becomes UFC champion or not. I mean, I think he would like that, but he's not going to stick around and take a pay cut for that. The guy wants to get paid. The guy's been doing this since he was, 16 years old? He's been in some pretty brutal fights. I think it would be a blow to the UFC to lose him. I still think, look, if Tyron Woodley becomes champion next week, Rory McDonald fought Tyron Woodley pretty damn well and neutralized him pretty damn well. You don't think that he'd think that he could become champion? You don't think that I think that he could become champion? You know what I'm saying? So in my opinion, Rory McDonald is still one of the top 5 best welterweights in the world, period, regardless of promotion. Still a lot of great fight for him at welterweight, but he wants to get paid. And it sounds like he was a little soured on the whole experience. And so I think it's smart. Look, I don't know how much he moves the needle per se from a ticket sales standpoint outside of Canada or from a rating standpoint outside of Canada. But I'm happy that at least Bellator is engaging in these discussions with him to see, they should, if they want to grow as a promotion, they should be involved in these discussions. Now, whether or not they always sign the guy, that is a different story. But you have to be in that game. It's smart business to be in that game. It's smart business to at least reach out and see, okay, what would it cost to get this guy? What's he looking for, et cetera, et cetera. That's good for the growth of the sport. The fact that these negotiations are happening, I think, is a healthy thing for the sport.
Lineker, Vannata, and Smolka.
Yes. What a card.
This question focuses primarily on Smolka. What's next for him? Does he get a title shot?
Can I just tell you that I thoroughly enjoy watching Louis Smolka fight? I mean, that guy is so much fun. The Holohan fight was tremendous. The action on the ground against Ben Wen on Wednesday was just as entertaining, if not more. The guy is relentless on the ground. It is such a pleasure to watch him compete. And when's the last time that we had a guy climb the ranks as a flyweight, win 4 in a row, and there's actually some talk of, okay, how would he look against Demetrius Johnson? I really love that he called out Wilson Hayes. I thought his idea of having them fight for the interim title was a little crazy, considering the fact that DJ has been so active and has defended the title so many times. And I was holding out hope, as someone who is covering UFC 201, that they would book Wilson Hayes versus Louis Smolka. Figured that he didn't take a lot of damage. Wow, what a great fight that would have been, considering the fact that Wilson Hayes was, scheduled to fight for the belt, and that would have been a nice, second option for him. And then they go with Sean Santella, and then he gets pulled from the card, and now they announced that Hector Alex Sandoval of Team Alpha Male is getting the call, and that's kind of fun, playing off the whole Team Alliance, Team Alpha Male thing. But I was hoping that it was going to be Louis Smolka. Now we'll see what happens. If Sandoval wins, there's a void there. I know they have the Ultimate Fighter coming up, but DJ has wanted to remain active. I don't know. I would love to see Smolka versus DJ, and maybe he gets another fight. But man, I am a fan of his. So yeah, I was super impressed with that card. Chukagian was great against Murphy. I thought that was a really impressive performance considering it was her UFC debut. Lando Vannata, who we'll be talking to in a couple minutes, I thought he had a great performance. Tony Ferguson coming back was great. Freaking John Lineker has looked even better at 135. Who expected that? And he's definitely a player. It was a great card. And I'm forgetting a couple other ones. Tim Boach, great win for him. That was fun. I like the Wednesday, the midweek card. I don't mind it. What about you?
They tend to deliver.
No, just like I like the idea that it's not Saturday. It's a little different. The main card starts earlier. It was quick. The main event was done by 11:40, which is a pretty manageable time if you're living on the East Coast. I thought it was nice.
It was solid. It was fun. John Lineker is incredible.
Who do you want to see him fight next?
Brock Lesnar? I don't know.
Brock Lesnar.
Anybody.
What kind of response is that?
Anybody. Doesn't matter. Heavyweight.
To me, the two
down.
options were John Dodson or Cody Garbrandt.
Either one sounds great.
Jeez.
Got faith in John Lineker's hands. Okay, I'm gonna leave you on this, and then I'm gonna get our guest.
Okay.
Fedor Maldonado.
Yes.
What do you
What
think
the hell's
about
going
that
on there?
fight being overturned? Now there's a bit,
It's not really overturned though.
Well, yeah.
So what is that?
Well, what do you mean? At least one jurisdiction or one organization with jurisdiction decided that it was a draw.
Cool. That's the one you're leaving me on? That's the crappiest
That's
question.
all you got? You got nothing for that?
I got nothing.
You don't even care?
I mean, I already talked about it. It should have been a draw. What is
Ugh.
it? Give me another one.
TJ Dillashaw.
Yeah.
1 year removed
Yes.
from his decision to leave Team Alpha Male. Was
Oh.
it a good decision?
Holy crap, it's been a year?
Now I will get our guest.
Okay.
Think on it.
I can't believe it's been a year. TJ Dillashaw. Wow. I think it's been an okay decision. I mean, he's probably had to deal with a lot more stress and drama than he wanted to. But, he did win. Did he leave? Yeah, he did leave Alpha Male. Well, it was kind of brewing, right? It was sort of brewing around this time when he fought in Chicago against Hannah Brow. He looked fantastic in that fight. Almost beat Dominic Cruz. I do believe that there are some who still think that he deserved to win that fight. And then he eventually lost to Rafael Sunsao. So it hasn't been horrible for him, I think. Go back and listen to that interview that he did on Stud Show Radio, one of the greatest MMA podcasts out there, by the way. Those guys are they're fans. Well, mostly them. I don't know if they have many fans. They're so insecure. You say anything about that show and they get their panties in a bunch. Stud Show Radio, fantastic show. Great guys. And it was a Team Alpha Male show, and they had TJ Dillashaw on. And he was talking a lot about employees versus contractors and having to do the USADA stuff. Some very interesting comments from TJ Dillashaw. I thought it was good. We had a write-up of it on the site. I think it was yesterday. I think so. There was a lot of news this weekend after the Brock Lesnar thing. Ryzen announced that they're doing an open weight Grand Prix tournament. Vanderlei Silva involved. Mirko Krokop, after he found all his Pokemons, he's involved as well. So Mirko coming out of retirement. Remember, Mirko was on the show, very emotional, saying that he was done. And now here he is back and appears to be in great shape as well. So it's an open weight Grand Prix. Do you know what that means? That's lightweight. That's heavyweight. Anything goes. Old school pride. Amazing. Speaking of amazing, our next guest had a amazing UFC debut. It didn't go his way in the end, but a lot of people were talking about Lando Vannata come Wednesday night who weren't talking about him prior to that, who maybe didn't even know who he is. But this close to defeating Tony Ferguson, and really, if you're gonna talk about moral victories in MMA, that's pretty much the moral victory in MMA, what he did Wednesday in Sioux Falls, South Dakota. Lando joins us on the phone right now. Lando, how are you?
Hey, I'm doing well, Ariel. How you doing?
I'm doing great. Thank you for joining us. So let me get this straight. Is it Lando or Landon? Because on SureDog, they have you as Landon. On the broadcast, it was Lando. What should I call you?
Lando.
Lando. Is it short for Landon?
Yeah, it's a nickname for Landon.
Okay, I like it. Well, it's weird to say congratulations to someone, after a loss, but I kind of feel like I should say congratulations to you. Do you agree with my assessment that moral victories suck? You don't get as much money, you don't get the W, but that kind of felt like one to me.
Yeah, actually, I've gotten a lot of congratulations, and it's definitely a moral victory. I'm so disappointed in myself. for the way I acted during parts of that fight and let myself down during it. But nonetheless, man, it's still a small victory. It takes a lot of pressure off my shoulders. If I would have beat Tony Ferguson, it would have been a lot more pressure.
Oh, that's it. So you see a silver lining in not beating him. Were you not ready for that pressure?
No, not saying I'm not ready. Definitely feel like I will be ready for it. Just now it's not there.
Okay. Okay. I want to work backwards here and get to the fight. You get the call to replace Michael Chiesa around 2.5, 3 weeks before the fight, and it's against Tony Ferguson, who you can make the case is the number one contender. He's on this amazing winning streak. Were you surprised that you got that offer? People come into the UFC on short notice all the time, but it's usually not against an opponent like that. What were you thinking when you initially got that offer?
No, yeah, I wasn't surprised. I mean, Horcher got Khabib on the same notice. But what I was thinking, I was just like, yeah, fuck yeah, let's go, let's do it. 100% in.
So there was no doubt. You didn't have to think about it. You took the fight.
Nah, my manager called me. He said, hey, you want to fight Ferguson in 2 weeks? I said, yeah, let's go.
And what kind of shape were you in?
Well, actually, I had that was the first day of my training camp for another fight. And, I was kind of in and out of the gym the weeks prior to that. Nothing too serious. And, I was in good shape, but I wasn't in fight shape. I wasn't in great shape. But, I was in decent shape.
Yeah, and your last fight was April 30th, so it wasn't like you were out for a very long time. How much did you know about Tony Ferguson? Like, when you heard that it was him, was there something about his style that made you even more confident going to the fight? Like, yeah, this is a good opportunity.
No, actually, I didn't know much about him. I knew he had chokes, and he had long arms, a big reach. And at first I was like, great. These are all the things I hate. Guys with a long reach, guys with a good choke, and pressure fighters. All right. Yeah, so it was three things that I hate. And, but then we sat down and watched tape, and it built my confidence up a lot.
Okay, so then you start, you're taking the fight, you're getting ready for the fight, you're a part of this great gym with obviously some of the best coaches in the sport, some of the best fighters in the sport. Did you feel at that point, even before the call, that you were ready for the UFC? Like, you're around these guys every day, you're training next to them. Are you thinking, like, what is it going to take for me? Because obviously when you're dreaming about going to the UFC, you don't want it to be under these circumstances. You want a full training camp. Usually you want to be as prepared as possible. Did you feel already that, like, all right, my time is coming, like I should be getting this call already?
Yeah, I've been saying to everybody's been asking me this year. I've been telling them I'll be in the UFC by the end of the year. It's just a matter of time.
Did you ever flirt with them before? Were there ever any close opportunities to joining them in the past?
Yeah, we were trying to get a few fights in the past. It just kind of fell through. They gave them to different people, and we just knew it was going to be right around the corner. It was going to be soon.
Before you left, any of the fighters in the gym have a pep talk with you, try to give you a few pointers about what it would be like fighting in the UFC?
It's just the normal things. Cowboy sat me down outside and was like, hey, man, don't let the big lights get to you. Don't let that stuff get to you. It's just another fight, But it's just the normal things. They know physically, mentally I'm prepared for it. They're just like, hey, there's me big lights. It's going to be these famous people around you, these famous referees and announcers and all that other stuff. Just don't be distracted by it.
I get the impression you're not someone who gets easily rattled. Just doing some research on you, you like to do a lot of meditation and be calm. I mean, that you don't strike me as a very nervous Nelly kind of person. Is that true?
Yeah, I'm actually extremely calm when it comes to fights. Sometimes I'm so calm that I go, should I be like a little more excited right now? I'm very, very calm. Going into a fight backstage, I'll be joking around, having a good time. We're cracking jokes. I walk out, smiling, dancing. I just feel good. I just take everything in.
You've been with Jackson's for several years since you were in high school. Is that true?
Yeah. So the first time I came out here, I was actually 16. I was going to go to a wrestling camp, and decided I'd try to see if I can come out here for a month. Turned out I could, and I was out here for a month in the summer of 2008.
That's when you joined full time.
No, that was my first trip. I was 16 at the time.
Okay, where were you coming from?
Originally, I came from Florida.
Okay.
That's where I was living.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So why?
I came from Florida.
Why there? Why'd you go there?
Why Jackson?
Yeah.
Yeah, I was just looking for a wrestling camp. My brother just goes, "You should try to go to Jackson." I think it was at a time when GSP just re-won his belt or something, and Jackson was the talk of the town.
Okay.
And I was like, you should try to go there. He's just joking around. I was like, yeah, sure, I might as well try it. And then I ended up going. fell in love with the place and made a lot of good friends and just knew to come back.
So you go there when you're 16, 2008, but you're still in school. You didn't leave school early to join the team full time?
No, I went to Russell at Tennessee Chattanooga, D1 school. I was there for a semester and just hated it, and then I dropped out, moved out here right after.
So were you going every summer, though, up until you joined full time?
No, it was just that one summer.
Oh, okay. But you still had when did you decide that you want to be an MMA fighter?
I was like 10, 11 years old.
What?
I saw UFC 30, UFC 31. My aunt got me those VHSs, and I come home from school and I'd watch them every day, especially the Pedro Hizzo, Josh Barnett, the first fight.
Yeah.
I loved that fight. And, I come home from school and I watch them every day, and it took me a couple years to find my first gym. So I just told my parents, like, this is what I want to do in my life. I'm going to be a world champ one day.
Why did she get you those VHSs?
My aunt was in Vegas, and she met Randy Couture or something, or she was at the UFC party. I don't remember exactly. She just had, like, this gift bag, this UFC gift bag. And she was like, hey, I think you'll like these. Turns out I love them.
That is incredible. So you just watch them over and over again? How many times do you think you watched them?
I don't know, a few dozen each.
Wow. That is amazing. Yeah. And so your fight was Hizzo. It wasn't like Tito Ortiz slamming Evan Tanner. It was the Hizzo Barnett fight.
Yeah, it's still to this day one of my favorite knockouts. He rocks him, and Barnett just, folds over forward a little bit, and he's just so dazed. Hizzo steps off to his right, fires that right hand clean on the temple, and just puts him down. It's just one of my favorite knockouts.
And in 31, Couture beats Hizzo. Did you you didn't know who any of these guys were? So were you kind of bummed that in the next VHS that the guy loses?
No, I wasn't attached to the fighter himself.
Okay.
I was attached to that fight.
Fight. Have you ever met him?
No, I haven't met Hizzo. I was supposed to fight one of his fighters. I have met what is Hizzo's coach's name? I always forget. The man who lives in California.
Rafael Cordero?
No. King of the Street. What's his name? He's on the UFC way back in the day as well. Big heavyweight guy.
For Hizzo or Barnett?
Hizzo's coach.
It'll come to me. I know who you're talking about.
I can't think of it off the top of my head. But no, I've never met Hizzo.
Okay, so at that point, are you a big wrestling fan, like pro wrestling or boxing fan? Like, were you a combat sports fan at all?
No, I mean, I watched some WWE when I was a kid, but I wasn't a big fan of any combat sports at that time.
Okay, so then so now we speed up. You're finally joining the team full time, and you decide that you want to become an MMA fighter, and you're around all these great fighters and all that. Was there ever a point where you were thinking like, this isn't? Because I mean, it's been 4 years since you've been doing this full time. Did you always believe that you would make it to the UFC?
Oh yeah, 100%. I've always been having great rounds with everybody in the gym, and I knew my skill set was there, my mindset was there. And it was just one of those things where you have to take it a day at a time, one step after the next. And, and I know it's a long, arduous process, and some people never get that shot. I just happen to be lucky enough to get that chance. But I always knew it would come.
What was it like when you got to Sioux Falls? And of course, we're not in Vegas. We're not, it's not the bright lights, and of course, it was after 200, so there was less attention. But just being a part of that process, because I know there's a lot that goes in, and it's very professional behind the scenes. What was the experience like for you going through it the first time?
Oh, it was fun. It was the first time for me to do it personally, but I've been there with Cub Swanson, I've been there with Diego Sanchez. I've been through the process before as a friend, as someone who was there to help another. So it's not necessarily the first time, but it was fun. It was definitely fun to go through the whole thing for myself. And
the nerves never got you, right? Speaking of what Cowboy said to you, you go into the cage. It's all just another fight.
Yeah, that's exactly how I viewed it. That's what I said when I first got it. I said, it's just another fight.
Yeah.
That's how I felt all the way through.
But then in the first round, when you're looking as comfortable as you are, when you're rocking him, when all this is happening, when people are like, obviously you can't see what people are saying, but like this is actually unfolding. You're about to pull off this mammoth upset. What is going through your mind? Are you still remaining calm, or are you kind of like, holy shit, I mean, I'm about to do this?
No, I like to think that I pretty much fight blank. I'm on autopilot. There's no thoughts really. The only thought that came to me during that fight, and I remembered it just the other day, and it was very weird. We were circling around each other, moving. And I look at him, and I think to myself, either I'm having deja vu right now, or I've dreamed about this before. And I'm
Wow.
not sure which. Yeah, and then it just went right back to getting punched in the face. But that's the only thought I had the entire fight.
Wow. That is and so when you go to your corner the second between the first and second round, what is your corner saying to you?
I had no idea.
You don't
I was
recall.
so exhausted after the first round. I was in there just trying to catch my breath. They were saying things, but I don't remember.
Have you watched the fight since?
Yeah, about 12.5 times.
What's that like for you to see how close you were to finishing him?
It's very sad. Because every time I watch, I go, why did I do that? Why did I follow him to the ground? If I would have just given an extra inch of space when I let that uppercut go when he was back against the cage, it would have been a good night. But so it's just small mistakes. It's kind of sad to watch, but at the same time, I sit down analytically and watch it and see the things I did wrong, and I know what to work on in the future. The next one.
Is that why you said earlier that you kind of let yourself down?
Yeah.
What do you mean by that?
Like I just there's it's just some mistakes that I shouldn't have made that I did, and that I have made in the past. In the past, I've been more controlled about it, and this time I just happened to make a mistake that I shouldn't have made.
What about protecting yourself? Do you feel like you? I mean, it's a great style. It's very exciting, and he nailed you with that Superman punch, and you took it. It was unbelievable to watch. But is that something that you usually do? I know fighters do that. I mean, it's a common thing in this sport. Fighters, some of them don't like to protect themselves, have their hands down the whole time. Is that what you usually do in all your fights?
I usually protect myself through footwork and head movement, like I was doing in the first round.
Yeah.
In that second round, so before the fight, there was a time when I was talking to my coaches, and I was saying, I think after I hit him a couple times, I'll get Tony to go backwards. Nobody makes this guy go backwards. I'm confident that I'll be able to control the pace. And in that second round, I was making him go backwards the whole time. So that kind of it stroked my ego a little bit, and I got a little too excited. And then he was hitting me, and I didn't feel like he hit that hard. See, there's a point where he ripped a body kick, and I blocked it, and I said, all right, come on, throw another. Yeah, he ripped another one, and I put my hands down. I was like, what, that's all you got? So it was just a little bit of an ego thing, man. Just I got a little carried away with it.
Man, it was something else to watch. This relatively unknown fighter on this big stage coming in and almost knocking off the top guy. Do you recall what, like, when you got back to the locker room, what that was like? What your coaches said to you? I'm sure you were dealing with a lot of mixed emotions.
Yeah, it was definitely mixed emotions. At one point, I was high on it, and I felt great about it. And then, the next minute, I was, on the verge of tears. And then the next moment, I just wanted to hear my coaches give me an analysis of it and things to work on.
Yeah.
But, it was just all over the place, man. It was my first loss in the MMA, my first loss in anything in a very long time. So, yeah, it was just mixed emotions. It's all over the place.
A foreign feeling, right?
Yeah, absolutely. You
got the 50,000 though. That's makes
nice.
Yeah, and I saw that you said afterwards that you're going to get a car. I was told that you ride your longboard to the gym. Are those days over?
Yeah. Oh no, I got a car, but I'm still going to be longboarding to the gym. I love skating.
Wait, so
skating, riding the bike, walking.
You got the car already?
Yeah, I'm sitting in it right now.
Wow, what'd you get?
I got an 05 Nissan Frontier Nismo Edition. 4-wheel drive. It's got a little lift on it. Nice little off-road package.
Wait, so you got home Thursday, I assume?
Yeah, I got home Thursday, and so funny thing is, I've been sharing a car with my girlfriend for the past couple of years. We've been supporting each other and really helping each other out. That car had 170,000 miles on it. So we're driving the other day to go get some errands done. The car breaks down and dies on us. Yeah, the day after we get back. So the car breaks down. We shoot over to the Hyundai dealership and walk in. She was going to buy a new car anyway, so she walked in, buys a new car. We come back the next day to finish up the paperwork, and there's this nice Nissan Frontier sitting in the front. And I take it out for a test drive. I go, yeah, I like it. Take it out. Everything's clean. I go, okay, let's buy it. Yeah.
So now you got two cars.
Yeah, so now I have my own car.
Wow.
Yeah, she has her car. I got my car. It's great.
It's good to be Lando Vannata.
Yeah, life just changed a little bit. It's pretty nice.
I saw a video where you go on your roof and meditate. Do you still do that?
That's when I was living in the mountains. I was living on the other side of the mountains from Albuquerque here. I just moved actually just a few months ago.
Okay.
But up until I moved, yeah, I was up there, every morning, my coffee, doing a little meditation.
It's great. Well, what about this purple suit that you were rocking afterwards, which a lot of people noted as well? Was that did you pick out that suit because you knew that you were going to win and you were going to sit up there and everyone's going to be talking about you? Was that what you were thinking?
I said, yeah. I was like, I got to go get a suit for the post-fight press conference after I beat Ferguson. I didn't have the money to go get a tailored suit, so I just went and grabbed that. To spend a few hours doing a little shopping.
Yeah, people liked it. It looked good on you, the purple.
Thanks, sir.
Yeah. Okay, so now obviously you got a little banged up. Any serious injuries in the fight?
Nah, no serious injuries. Just some scrapes, some bruises, but we're all good to go.
When do you want to return?
I'm gonna take probably 3 or 4 weeks off. Just let my body heal up from the past few years.
Yeah.
Been grinding. Probably late October, early November. Give myself a few weeks off and then be able to get a few full camp going.
What was it like when you got back to the gym? Because you've been one of those guys, like you said, grinding, and I know a lot of people are rooting for you. It was cool to see some of your teammates on Twitter after and even before the fight. But when you got back, what was that reception like?
Oh, man, just everybody I've seen so far has just given me nothing but love. Like we were saying earlier, I've just gotten congratulations from everybody. I think I'm the only person ever get congratulations from losing a fight.
It's a weird thing, right? What do you say to that?
Yeah.
Say thanks, I guess.
Yeah, I say thanks, because even though I lost, it's like it's a moral victory. There's a lot to be gained from it. There's, I gained thousands and thousands of fans from it, so it's really got my name out there. Really put me on the map. So there's still silver linings in it.
Absolutely. Well, it's good to see you take that approach. By the way, Marco Huas was the fighter that you were referring to. Yes.
Yes. Been to his gym a couple times in California with the Cubs.
Thank you to everyone for calling me an idiot for missing that. Look, I've been talking for the last 3+ hours here. My mind works very slowly, but I shouldn't be complaining to you. Congratulations. I'll add to the congratulations. I was blown away, man. It was so entertaining. That first round to me, when we're doing our awards in December, I have a very good feeling that we'll be talking about that first round for round of the year, and what a performance, what a debut it was, even in defeat. So you have a lot to be proud of. Congrats on the new car. Congrats to your girlfriend as well. And I'm looking forward to watching your career now in the UFC. Great stuff.
Ariel, thank you very much, brother.
My pleasure. There he is, Lando Vannata, who was so successful in defeat in his UFC debut, which is a very rare thing for people to be congratulating someone in defeat. I don't have to tell you that. But that first round, if you missed that card, if you said that there was, if there was too much MMA and to a degree, I don't blame you. But if you said that I was not going to watch the Wednesday card in Sioux Falls, South Dakota, because you were a little bit tired of MMA, you missed a good one. You really did. That first round was there's nothing better than potentially watching an upset unfold, one that no one saw coming. Tony Ferguson had looked so good up until that point, and let's not take anything away from him. He weathered a pretty strong storm and came out, in the second round and was able to get back on track and submit Vannata. But wow, what a first round. To see that unfolding, to see Tony Ferguson on roller skates, to see him almost get finished, guy that no one really knew of 3 weeks ago, is exhilarating stuff. That's the beauty of MMA. We were talking about some of the things that make me a little bit depressed when it comes to MMA. That is the beauty of MMA. Guy coming out of nowhere, taking a fight like that, almost changing his life, and did change his life to a degree in defeat. Great stuff there. And I know his coach, Brandon Gibson, as we were talking about him earlier, I know he's very high on him, one of those guys that's been a part of the team for a while, that they've helped cultivate, grow from the beginning, now getting an opportunity to shine on the big stage. All right. Last guest to go. Let's talk to my man, Urijah Faber. UFC 203, he returns against Jimmy Rivera. Oh, there he is. Urijah, how are you?
Hey.
What's up, man?
Doing good, buddy.
How's life?
Doing good. Excellent, man.
You were going to say something to me.
I was going to say, good to see you in better spirits.
Yeah.
Watch that sad show, man. It was a tearjerker.
Did you cry?
That was rough.
Did you cry?
Huh?
Did you cry?
I got a little choked up. No actual tears, but I got a little beklempt.
Well, I appreciate that. Thank you for watching. It's good to see you, man. Well, let's talk about UFC 199.
Yeah.
What happened?
I lost, man.
Yeah.
I think you saw it. You know, I came out, I had an amazing training camp first off, and I felt really good. And came out, it was a back and forth first round, and I feel like I had him a little fatigued.
Really?
Going into the second. I mean, I felt like that was the sense I got. And came out the second round, and he just caught me about a minute in with like a looping left hook that landed right on the button. And, you know, this is the fight game, fight for world championship. I got rocked just a tiny bit, came out of it just in time to land an up kick and start scrambling. But I think I was skating the rest of that second round, kind of trying to regain composure and just wasn't on point after that. I feel like he got more into his groove. I feel like I was less creative and more kind of lulled by his awkward movement. And, you know, it was a frustrating fight for me. It was still you know, like I said, a decision that definitely went his way. Last time I felt like the fight could have gone anyway. This time I felt like it was definitely his fight. So, you know, at least I had that I was able to put it all out there and take away something from the fight. You can't really remember what happens in a fight, so you go back and watch it. I waited about a week to watch it, and I still looked good, but just wasn't able to connect, wasn't able to get creative and really fought his fight.
Considering your history with him, considering where you are in your career, was that one of the tougher fights to deal with after the fact?
Not necessarily, man. I don't like to dwell on things.
Yeah.
I mean, obviously it's not the best feeling to lose, but I'm not defined by wins and losses. That's not what makes me who I am. I know that. I love the sport. Like I said, going into this camp, I had an amazing camp, and I started coming down from like 163 about 10 weeks out, just because it had been a while since I had fought and you know, put on some muscle and put on some, you know, little body fat. And you know, by the end of that camp, I felt on point. I felt I was going to win, and it just didn't go my way. So I can't really – the preparation was amazing. Whenever you prepare like that, it's hard to really feel bad about anything, you know, because I did what I needed, what I can control, I did, and you can't control outcomes of fights, unfortunately. But the preparation was on point, and so it's frustrating if you aren't able to prepare like you'd like to, and then you have a, you know, excuse kind of. But I don't have any excuses.
Who's throwing a ball up and down in front of you?
That's Sneaky Tommy. He's kind of a how'd you know
I can
that?
see everything. Are you kidding me? I have a nose for these things. Sneaky Tommy.
He's a sneaky little thing, isn't he?
I love that guy.
That's Dash Senior. We call him Dash Senior.
That's his son is Dash Jr., I am assuming, or maybe just Dash.
That's right.
Yeah.
Yeah, just Dash.
Which exotic island did you go? I feel like you always go to like a nice place afterwards just to decompress. Where'd you go?
I didn't go to Nice Island. I just went to Santa Barbara for a few days.
Okay.
That's actually where I was born. I was born in Santa Barbara. I have my family there. Hung out. I didn't go to any exotic island. I went to Santa Barbara. I hung out for a little bit, ended up doing some hot yoga. Then I got right back in the gym. We had Cody who was up, and then we had Paige that was up. And so you know, like I said, it's a process to get my weight down. And I just feel like, you know, that's what I do for, you know, some people pay to do CrossFit and they compete in these games, and they're, you know, people have all these different things. I know guys that do the 100-mile marathons and stuff like that. This is what I do for my passion. I luckily get paid to do it, and of course I'm always trying to be the best in the world at it, just like a lot of folks when they're following their passion. But got right back in the gym, you know, able to be in the gym and not necessarily do the stuff you don't want to do, just jump in the sessions you do want to do, but just being there and getting the next generation going and staying prepared. And then they offered me a fight, and I'm like, you know, I have a hard time turning down a fight, especially against a tough opponent like Jimmy Rivera. I've got a chance to watch him and really impressed with the guy. So
yeah.
I've got nothing to protect, and I'm doing what I love, and I'm excited to get back on the horse.
Yeah, I was a little surprised that you're coming back so soon, but this has sort of been your thing. You typically do come back soon if you're not that hurt. So they called you. You didn't tell them, like, hey, I'm ready to come back?
No, they called me.
Wow.
Apparently, I think, per usual, I think Caraway was offered the fight, and he's waiting till November, December to fight I actually talked to Caraway, and I was like, bro, did they? He's like, I haven't heard anything from the UFC. I'm like, well, they told me they offered you this fight. And he's like, yeah, it's not a smart fight. Rivera's very tough. It doesn't do anything for me and this and that. But I got nothing to protect, man. I'm in there to scrap. I don't want to not give another guy an opportunity or a fight because it's not a smart fight or this fight. Dude, none of these fights are smart fights. It's a dumb profession. We shouldn't be doing this. But what the heck? It's not a smart thing to do ever.
You always feel that way, or have you come to that conclusion in your older days?
It's funny. I like to think about, a lot of people, the biggest fear for a regular person is a physical confrontation. And I do that and have been doing it on the wrestling circuit for 20 some odd years and in the fight game for 13, almost 14 years. And not only am I getting in physical fights on a daily basis, but I'm doing it with some of the best guys on the planet. So it is a little bit of weird when you think about it. But, like I said, some people are doing CrossFit. Some guys are doing these marathons. Some people are doing things for their hobbies. I just happen to compete, love fighting, and have a desire to be the best at whatever I'm doing. And so, it's not the smartest things. I think when you sit back and think about it, it's just, it is what it is. But yeah, it's more of a new concept, I think.
Are we done with the cruise thing? Like, or have you moved on from it? Can you just like let it go now?
Yeah, I was never stuck up on it in the first place. It was a good opportunity for me. And like I said, I thought I was going to win.
Yeah.
We have our history, but you know how I am, man. I don't really pay attention to things unless they're in my face. And it happened to be in my face, and it was what it was. But I've had a weird relationship with Cruz throughout the years, just basically having to be in each other's face, in and off the mat, in and out of the octagon. So it is what it is. I don't waste any time thinking about him or what has happened in the past or anything else. It's just my life is my life, and I'm working on powerful things in it.
People throw around the word captain a lot in this world, but you really truly define that word. And I'm not just blowing smoke up your butt. You've done this twice now, and I want to know how this works, because here you are, you're at UFC 169. You just lose very controversially to Hannah Barral, and one of the first things that comes out of your mouth is TJ Dillashaw. He's the next guy. Here you are, UFC 199. You lose a heartbreaker to your rival, and one of the first things that comes out of your mouth, Cody Garbrandt. How does this work? I don't see this from other people. And maybe it's unique that you have all these guys in your weight class, but at what point do you think to yourself like, oh, I got to now plug my guy? You're doing the post-fight interview in the cage after your loss, and you're plugging the other guy. It's incredible.
I don't know. I think it goes, I have zero ego, and I love giving new guys opportunities. And it's funny because in the post conference, Cruz is like, "You making money off of all these guys?" I'm like, bro, if you had any clue how much money I've wasted building this amazing team, you would just be shutting your mouth at the point. And I was like, I enjoy bringing up the next generation. I think people have to understand, a guy like Cody Garbrandt has looked to me for guidance. He's poured his heart out. I've heard his backstory. And the same with TJ. TJ lived in my house when he was down and out. I've made opportunities for him. I've brought him along on me, working with great trainers throughout the years, and until these guys get their feet wet. But bigger than that, I've got guys like Joseph Morales and Angelo Trevino and Solomon Amahar, who have been with me since they're 10, 11, 12, 13 years old.
Wow.
Andrew Coyne, call him Bulldog. These guys have been with me since before they hit puberty, into new opportunities. Like now they're about to be, 5-0 and 6-0 and the top training partners in the gym and things like that. And I get a lot of pride and enjoyment out of giving back and seeing the next generation go, because, at the end of the day, money's money or whatever, but the people you're surrounded with and the people that are your network, that's what's important. I have friendships that have lasted since before I can remember, that are, childhood friendships and built friendships along the way. And I enjoy seeing new opportunities for people. And I really believed that it was TJ's chance because I had trained with him in the gym, and I really believe that it's Cody's opportunity because I trained with him in the gym, and we've had these discussions before, and I need all my guys to believe that, and me being on the stage and being able to hand down the torch, per se, is a good opportunity, and it doesn't take anything away from me.
You've done a great job of building yourself up for these big money fights and having these options. I still feel like the Dillashaw fight is a big money fight that's waiting for you. Did you
big money for who?
I don't know. You told.
That's think about that. There's a certain couple of scenarios where that would be a big money fight, but
tell me them. Which scenarios?
If it was for a belt.
Okay. You don't think
that would be?
You don't think Dillashaw Faber at the new arena in Sacramento is a big deal?
I mean, is it a big money fight for everyone else?
Yeah.
Sure.
Because you don't make a cut from the ticket sales.
I don't make a cut from anything.
Right.
Unless it's a title,
Oh, okay. I see what you're saying. So is it fair to say you're not interested in that fight anymore?
No, I never was really interested in that fight. When I think of TJ Dillashaw's situation, it makes me more sad than anything else. It's not like a fighting situation, It's just kind of a weird gig. I never rule out anything. You never know what's going to happen, but it's not like I'm setting my sights on that fight. That'll be an uncomfortable build-up. That'll be uncomfortable all the way through, and then it'll be then it'd be a fight. So I'm not ruling anything out, but I take one fight at a time. I don't know what I'm going to do. I'm a very spontaneous guy, so I would like to fight in Sacramento at the new arena. That's been a monumental thing that I think should definitely happen. Who is that going to be? We don't know. We'll see. This next fight, I got to focus on this next guy. This guy, these guys that are ranked in the top 15, it's not because they're below anyone necessarily. It's because they're brand new and people don't know who they are. There was a time when people didn't know who I was. There was a time when people didn't know who TJ was and Barao and everyone else. This guy that I'm fighting is very, very tough. I've had a chance to watch some of his interviews, and I see how dedicated he is to perfecting the game. I know that he's a well-rounded fighter. He brings a huge skill set. He's a young, hungry athlete. So I take this fight just like I'll take a championship fight. I take it very serious.
What did you think of TJ's win over Asuncao? Since you obviously beat Asuncao not that long ago, maybe 5 or so years ago now, maybe more, 6.
I don't know.
It's been a while.
I haven't watched it yet. I'm still gonna watch it.
Wow.
Yeah.
You didn't watch it?
I was there at UFC 100, but I got there just a little bit late. We were dealing with this. The UFC put us up in these seats that were like difficult to get to, and then it ended up being a bunch of drama with the younger fighters because everybody was confused about where they were going. And I mean, I saw TJ walking out after his win, but I didn't get to see the fight.
Okay.
Yeah, and I haven't seen it, so I'll watch it.
But so let me ask.
Like I said, I don't really like watching.
Yeah. I hear you.
Stuff that doesn't make me feel good, I just shut things out. But I'll watch it just because it's a relevant fight for me.
Did you enjoy what you saw from 200? Did you enjoy the experience?
It was kind of a weird experience, to be honest. I mean, I was dealing with it was just weird matchups. Weird. Everything was weird about that whole. I don't know if you felt the same way, but
yeah, I did.
The drama leading up to it, then the sale of the UFC was kind of overshadowing things, and then the seating situation was had 60 fighters all up in arms because they're getting mobbed by crowds up in the in the mid section of the seating. So we're dealing with trying to figure out what was going on there because people were confused and everything else. So. I always enjoy fights. That's my passion. But it was just weird. I like to see. What's funny is the whole Brock and Hunt thing. We've seen Brock. And first off, I saw the interview before Brock's fight, and that's what I would have liked to seen from the guy the very first time he stepped into our sport. I mean, he was humble and he was realistic, and he just seemed like a different guy. And that's kind of what I remember from him as a wrestler. It was like a humble guy that was coming in to perform, and I like to see that. I just watched that recently, and it was cool to see a Division I wrestler who is a favorite in my mind no matter what, who kind of became an underdog because we've seen him not be real comfortable under fire. Just kind of prove again that wrestling's a super important part of this game.
Sure. Although what happened on Friday mars that a little bit potentially, right?
See, I don't really. I'm like in my own world. So fill me in. What's going on?
Oh, well, USADA announced via the UFC that he has been flagged for a potential PED violation stemming from an out-of-competition drug test that happened June 28th. So, what is it, 13 days or so before the fight?
How does it work? I thought, from what I understand,
Yeah.
and I don't know how this whole thing works. USADA is a independently hired governing body. And the UFC has the ability to pull some sort of exemptions. And I guess because Brock had been in the WWE and not the UFC, they gave him some sort of exemption. But now the exemption doesn't matter. But I'm assuming they knew something was up, but we're giving him some sort of exemption because he got short notice, if that's really the case.
Well, I think you're combining two things. When you, if you come out, let's say you retire right now, you decide right here on this show, you retire, that you're walking away from the sport. If you want to come back to the sport at some point, you have to give them a 4-month heads up before your next fight. So they'll test you and make sure that you're all on the up and up, right? But that's because the 4-month thing, what they're saying is because you have been a part of the sport in the USADA era. They said, okay, Brock Lesnar wasn't a part of the sport in the USADA era, so we're going to waive this 4-month period of testing and allow him to come in and fight in a month. Now, a lot of people thought, like, look, you're kind of picking and choosing. You know, this guy may not, have the 4-month. That guy may. It just seems like a bit of a weird thing. But important to note that he passed, I believe, 5 drug tests leading up to that June 28th date. So he was being tested a lot leading up to that. And then for some reason, this one particular one, we still don't know what the substance is. So let me ask you this question. He gets tested June 28th, but the results only come out after the fight. As a fighter, doesn't that bother you? Like, what's the point of doing out-of-competition testing pre-fight if it's going to come back after the fight? And that's what Mark Hunt is very upset about. He's like, wait, you're testing him before, it's coming out after. He could have gotten hurt. Something could have happened. You know what I mean?
Yeah, it puts things in perspective when you see, like, Cyborg's head get crushed, his skull get crushed. And, there's the human body and certain individuals have certain abilities. Is there a legal, like, attempted murder if you're using, something like that? If you're using potentially, using something to make yourself a weapon that's illegal, and then you crush somebody's skull or something like that, like, yeah, it's a weird thing. That's one of the reasons why, we have rules in this sport is to make sure that stuff like that doesn't happen. I mean, I don't know. I haven't really done all the research on what should or shouldn't happen. I know that, the cheaters are going to try to find a way to cheat over and over again. I've never been that guy. I pride myself on that. I have a real, feeling of pride, the fact that I've never done anything like that. And I know that guys, even though they've passed drug tests and everything else, they don't have that same pride, some people, and not saying any names or anything like that, but they know who they're out there. But this is a sport to test yourself and to see where you stand up, and it's like a chick with, like, fake lips, fake boobs, fake hair, fake teeth, fake tan. Like, when she has a kid, the genetics are not going to show any of that stuff.
Sure.
It's one of those things where you're looking at where do you really stack up? And I have a lot of pride in the fact that I've been a top contender, a world champion for over 14 years. I'm 37 in the sport, feeling amazing, and never have cheated. Everyone else, it is what it is. That's your own internal battle. People get bothered by this or that. That's the way I look at it, and so I'll just be proud of myself, and that's it.
What was your reaction when you heard the $4 billion number that the UFC sold for? I've always said you have been one of the smartest business minds in this sport. I've told you that. $4 billion. Were you surprised?
That's the fastest turtle, by the way.
Fair enough. What'd you think?
That's like you're one of the best looking interview guys or whatever.
Oh, wow.
Reporters, so.
Well, thank you. I appreciate that. I actually.
Well, is that really a compliment?
No. But what'd you think? What'd you think of that number?
First off, I've had a chance to build a relationship with Lorenzo Fertitta and Frank Fertitta, and I've had, got to know Dana and everyone else. I mean, they're business guys. That's their fight game. So as long as they're not breaking any laws and they're able to turn a company like that into a $2 million investment with a lot of hard work and a lot of money behind that into what it is today, I mean, I had to take my hat off and say congratulations and thank you for my opportunities. Now, would you also like to see the fighters getting a bigger piece of the pie? 100%. Will that happen in the future? I sure hope so. I know William Morris Endeavor, IMG, has dealt with football players and basketball players and baseball players and the Screen Actors Guild, so they know about what's fair and what's not. Are they going to make a move to give a bigger piece of the pie? I don't think it's going to be their big conscious decision, but it may be something that happens for us. $4 billion is a lot. I'm not going to complain about the money that I've got. It's not a scratch in the it's not a scratch on the surface of any of that kind of money, but I'm just doing my little part, and there's been a lot of moving parts. So it was pretty cool to see how the sport's going, but it just makes you wonder what's next for us.
True or false? Before he retires, before he walks away from the sport, Urijah Faber will get another crack at the UFC title.
Oh, come on, bro. Of course.
Yeah.
All the haters, you know what I mean? Hey, here's something to think about.
Yes.
I have been fighting. Well, the UFC. What year did the UFC integrate WEC to the UFC?
I believe that was 2011.
The 2011. So that was 5 years ago. So I was 32 when the UFC brought
2010.
2010. I was probably 32 when the UFC brought the WC into our sport. I mean, I feel like, and I've been a top contender right now. I'm ranked number 2 contender, I think, on the rankings for the weight class. And I've been a world champion. When they had my division in the WC, even before the WC,
yep.
I was the king of the cage, the Gladiator Challenge, fighting for the WFA, for all these organizations, grabbing these opportunities and being a pioneer. But this UFC, everyone talks about missing the opportunity for the UFC. It's only been 5 years since they've had my division in the weight class, and I mean, you can say what about whatever matchups or whatever opportunities that I've had or haven't had, but how many guys have been able to stay at the top for this long and be able to knock down contenders and get yourself positioned for big fights at 145s and 135s? This all comes down to matchups and good days. The last time I fought Cruz, he rocked me in the second. He kind of rocked me in the fourth with 2 punches. I feel like that was good for him. The last fight I fought him before that, I rocked him in the second, and I rocked him in the fourth. Or I rocked him in the first. I rocked him in the fourth. This is a game of millimeters and centimeters, and I'll be poised, ready for opportunities. That's the way I play this game, and that's why I don't shy away from. I'm not looking for the right matchup. I've fought guys that no one's heard of. I've fought guys that are legends like Frankie Edgar. I just love this fight game, and I'm passionate about it. I feel great about it. There's big things happening. I like to be an example for my guys on a bunch of different levels. I like to see the next generation go. So I'm just excited about being poised to take any opportunity and keep myself in tip-top shape, because that's what I love to do.
Man, I wish I could be as positive as you. It's unbelievable.
Thanks, buddy.
You are something else.
You're pretty positive.
I am pretty positive.
Although you do shed a tear on occasion.
Listen.
A heartfelt,
by the way,
well-deserved tear.
There's nothing wrong with that, with being in touch with your emotions.
Oh, dude, hey, bro. Okay. I've been getting choked up before.
Yeah.
I've been choked up.
Hey, what's
no, it was pretty cool to see all the other journalists and from all over the place get your back on that thing. That had to make you feel good.
Oh, to say that would be an understatement. And the fans as well in Las Vegas, I talked about this last week. They don't need to hear it again, but blew me away, their support. Really, it did. It really did. And I know I had your support as well, even though you didn't really, you were dealing with some other stuff. Let's be honest.
Yeah, I don't even know when it was.
It would actually. I didn't get to see the post-fight interview because it was going down. In case you're wondering. We were both.
It was a good interview.
We were both experiencing lows at the same time. That's why we're always going to be.
But it's funny. In that, Cruz was talking about me like, "Oh, you just pumping up your guys, this and that." And he goes, "I go, man, I got a whole generation of guys that are coming up that I'm going to continue to pump up. Oh, will you make money off of them or this and that, And then he's like, "I got guys that are coming up too, guys like," and he started naming off guys, and I go, hey, it feels good to give some recognition to other people. It feels good to pump up your guys, doesn't it? He's like, yeah, it does. I go, all right, well, now you understand.
And the feud continues. Ray Sandoval of Team Alpha Male fame fighting Wilson Hayes. Alex. Why do I say Ray? Because it's Hector, and everyone keeps correcting me that it's Alex. Why did I say Ray? Anyway, Alex Sandoval. But is it Hector or is it Alex?
His name's Hector. He goes by Alex. We call him Jose.
Perfect. He's fighting Wilson Hayes.
Because he's so fast that we'd use him as Jose Aldo for training.
Wow.
So we called him Jose Alex, and then his real name's Alex, and then his real name's Hector.
That's amazing. Okay, so he's fighting Wilson Hayes in a little less than 2 weeks. My final question to you.
Hey,
yes, go ahead.
Okay.
No.
This is the final question.
What do you want to say?
I was going to say this guy's roller coaster story has been nuts.
Who?
Alex. He's Alex Sandoval. He's been a stay-at-home dad. He's been very close on a couple of occasions to getting this opportunity. Then he almost gets on the Ultimate Fighter, and then something happens where he can't at the last minute. He can't go. Then he lost his opportunity, and then we get the call for Wilson Hayes on like a couple weeks' notice, and then he says, "Yeah, we'll do it." And then Wilson Hayes chooses some other guy. Then the other guy gets kicked out, and then Alex gets the opportunity again. So It's like, this guy's been going. He had like a going away party with his family and all this stuff, and I mean, he's poised. He's ready to take this fight.
Wow, I love that. Now I'm emotionally invested in the fight. You just did a great job of promoting it.
Okay.
What is it?
And he's also been Joseph Benavidez's top sparring partner, Cody's top sparring partner, TJ's top sparring partner, my top sparring partner, but just has not had the opportunity yet. So I mean, he's going to come in game. It's going to be a good fight.
What does it say on your bracelet? Eat
the truth.
What does that mean?
This is pride over profit. This is the new supplement company, Purist.
Oh.
PuristLabs.net.
Okay.
And I told you, I've been smarter about my training. I've always been super healthy about the way I live my life. But these little advantages like amino acids, right after that you step off the mat, a little bit of caffeine, which I've never used until the fight before Frankie Edgar. Little pre-workout, little Noxygen, little amino D, like all these little things are giving me a nice little edge. And, looking for every opportunity. I learned that from Vitor Belfort. He's calling me, asking about like some like special butter that we use in our coffee. And he's asking about like different things. He's always looking for this edge to help, keep his career going and staying on top of things. And I'm like, all right, Vitor. I mean, he may not always toe the line, but he's looking for every advantage.
Yes, they don't call him the young lion for anything. Okay, now my real final question is, what's it?
Okay.
Why do the alpha male guys have this connection with somewhat large comedians, female comedians? You and Rosie, Cody and Roseanne. What is going on over here? This is a strange phenomenon brewing. You
already asked me this, but a good way to circle back.
Did I?
I don't know. They're good people. They like. Well, I would say Cody's a handsome dude.
Yeah. And
he's a passionate guy, and says it how it is.
He's incredibly handsome.
Brutally. Well, I'm glad you think so.
He's got that quad.
Brutally honest. Go ahead. Go on.
He's got the neck tattoos. I mean, how can you resist? Although he's spoken for, I met his lovely girlfriend, so I don't want to infringe on his territory, on her territory.
We changed his name to Olive.
Oh wow, man! He's becoming a softie.
He's just in the right moments.
Okay. You're right.
But I don't know. We love that support.
Sure.
Roseanne Barr. I mean, these ladies they're alpha females without a doubt.
Right.
Game recognized game, homie.
That's right. West Side till I die. All right.
That's it.
Okay. Well, this is great.
Hey, by the way.
Yeah.
I've got a couple new recruits that we're talking about having come out. Jordan Oliver is one guy that's going to be coming out to our team.
Okay.
He's right now one of the most decorated U.S. wrestlers in the nation, and he's good friends with DC. He's been talking about going to AKA and going out with Aaron Simpson and those guys. And he's coming out to Team Alpha Male. But folks, keep your eye out for Jordan Oliver.
Okay.
And then we got Mike De Palma. Mike DePalma took 5th in nationals, and he's actually showing up today for his first week of training with Team Alpha Male. He's another tough wrestler that's going to be making the transition. So we're excited about the future of the team. We've got a new gym that's brewing.
You're building one?
About 3 miles. Yeah, changing locations to a new, bigger location that's going to be top-notch facility. So we're excited about that. And it's cool, man. We've got a bunch of cool stuff going on.
So no one breaking into your house anymore and dropping a deuce in the pool, all that. It's all.
Well, never say never, never say die. That's my thing. You know what I mean? I like to step
Sacramento.
it up. That was a big girl that came in. Next time I like her to be a little bit bigger and drop a bigger deuce.
Where are you, by the way? It's a beautiful office or room that you're in.
This is Tommy's office.
Whoa.
Right here.
There he is, Tommy.
And,
look at those guns.
So we're having a meeting over here about the new gym.
Oh, wow.
Over there. We also run MMA Draft, which is about to relaunch with the MMA University, an online university for mixed martial arts. We do that out of here. And this is also Brightway Dental headquarters. It's a business that I'm a part of. Jesus. So this is kind of like this is a headquarters for a bunch of different business stuff. Team Alpha Male, a lot of different things. So we're out here handling business.
I thought Tommy just picked up your dry cleaning.
Which is part of the reason why I don't know about all the BS that's going on in the MMA world, because I'm doing not like
You're not on Twitter scrolling through. I thought Tommy just picked up your dry cleaning. That was it. Apparently he does more than that.
Dude, Tommy's a
I'm kidding. Let me tell you something about
mother effing O.
Let me tell you something. Tommy.
But also,
Tommy's wife is Candy. Is that his wife?
That's it.
I mean,
yeah.
if
she's actually in here too. She's actually in here. There she is. You're gonna take a little tour here. Here's Tommy's office. This is Josh Espy, who's the CEO of Team Alpha Male now, baby.
Wow. How are you, sir, Josh?
He used to be with on it. This is Dave. Dave used to beat me up when he was a coach at a junior college, and I was a freshman or a senior in high school. Here's Handy Candy.
Hello, Candy. How are you? I was going to say, what I wanted to say was...
my office.
Wow, you have a nice office. I wish they can all be on the ball as Candy. You text Candy about getting on the show. She gets back to you within seconds.
Sure can.
Yeah.
And these are some lovely ladies that are waiting. They're about to do a radio commercial for the new UFC gym that we're doing in Rockland.
Wow, look at you. Business is booming. Alpha Male HQ.
This is also a ping pong table. This is a ping pong table in case you want to get whooped up.
Okay. Wow. People are actually thriving in the business world in Sacramento. Who knew?
Well, you gotta stop being so ignorant.
All right.
You know what I mean?
Well,
it's not all about Ariel's world. There's other things going on.
That is true. Okay, I've taken up enough of your time. Get your meetings. Get that paper, as they say. Get that paper.
Cheddar, cheese, cash, Skrilla.
Yeah. Cheddar makes it better. Rampage Jackson, my man. All day. I'm happy to see you're in good spirits, Urijah. I'm looking forward to your fight in Cleveland, Ohio.
Did you expect anything less?
No, I didn't. I really didn't. I was hoping for like a big retirement announcement and all that stuff, but we'll save that one for a different day.
Well, I'm glad that you are hoping for me to retire. That's great. I hope you retire too.
No, I'm just kidding. It will be. You know what? I'm hanging it up if you retire at some point. I'm never doing the show again. I'm kidding. I'm gonna go. Okay, I'm gonna go home and read your book now. Third time.
You acted like you read it a bunch of times.
Third time.
I'm like, bro, you asked me a question. I'm like, I thought you read my book.
Thank you, Urijah. All the best to you. We'll talk to you soon.
Tell your mom I said hello.
Oh my
I appreciate
God.
her support.
Oh my God, she's about to lose it. She's gonna text me in a minute right now. She's watching. Thank you, man. I appreciate that.
Mama knows. Mama knows.
That is right. Urijah Faber. What a class act, this guy. Unbelievable. He returns at UFC 203. Wow. Got a tour of his office. You can't beat that. That's the MMA hour for you. All right. I've gone a little too far. Are we done, Eric?
We're done.
Everyone's had enough of me back there. Okay. That's it. Yes? You back?
That's it.
Any Pokemon updates? Anything happen?
No, come on. You think we're playing Pokemon while we're watching the show here?
Possibly.
No.
Could you turn on your phone and tell me if there are any in this room right now? Like there could be one chilling right next to me.
It could be, but I'd have to be next to you. Meaning like...
Okay, what about in your studio?
It's 1-to-1. All right, hold on.
Okay, here we go.
This is not going to be exciting, by the way.
I just want to know. I want you to tell me if there's one in that room, and then we'll say goodbye. Come on, hurry up.
We've got nothing, Ariel.
0?
There's nothing in this room.
All right.
Except for human beings. Who are being held captive.
All right. You can hit my music. I am done. There it is. I was kind of... Oh, there's my mom. She loved it. She thanks Urijah Faber for the shout out. Watching the show every single week. You gotta love that. You talk about support. That is support. Fun show this week. We go from Derrick Lewis's beauty salon, James Gallagher, Campbell McLaren, Urijah Faber. I mean, we had it all. Something for everyone on today's episode of the MMA Hour. How about that? So, UFC back on Saturday, UFC on Fox 20. Holly Holm, can she get back on track after that devastating loss to Miesha Tate? We shall find out in 5 days. For now, we say goodbye. Thank you very much to Marc Raimondi for stopping by. Thank you very much to Derrick Lewis. Congratulations on his win. Congrats on the new beauty salon. Thank you very much to Valentina Shevchenko. Good luck to her on Saturday. Thank you to Campbell McLaren. Good luck to him. Kombacha returns August 11th. Congrats to Amanda Nunes, becoming new champ. Congrats to James Gallagher on his successful debut. Good stuff, Lando Vannata. Thank you, Lando Vannata, I should say. Thank you very much for stopping by, and always a pleasure to talk to Urijah Faber as well. Rate us on iTunes. Check us out, iTunes, Stitcher, YouTube, all that good stuff and more. Back next week, same time, place, Peace. Somebody out.